as foreigners make you a minority. Another election, another bust. Go vote for that liar, it's a must. We were given the greatest gift of all, decided to give it up and watch the fall. Yeah, it's just a clown world. We're living in a clown world. Join us in the clown world. It's easy to see that the joke's on you and the joke's on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this May 28th, 2026, Thursday broadcast of the Owen Report. We have a very headline-driven news day today. Very headline-driven today. So we are going to really cover the waterfront of the news. The heavier stuff today, some AI data center news. We got a nice stack here, AI data center news. And yesterday we talked about how the White House is prioritizing this and the different measurements that Washington, D.C. is taking to prioritize the data centers and everything else that comes with it and the propaganda that they're using. We have new revelations about that today. There's also a story where it looks like the companies that are in this AI race right now and the companies that are in a race to get all these data center contracts, they are starting to see that the obstacles potentially in front of them are about to build up. The AI companies, the big tech companies, they're starting to see the future could bring obstacles to their endeavors. They see that AI and data centers are losing popularity. They see the national conversation surrounding this, the local conversation surrounding this, and they know for them, this all points to it's going to be more difficult to try to get this AI surveillance state done next year and the year after that and the year after that. So they're now rushing to do it now. And there's this report, and you've seen this before, but usually when you have these reports, when they try to reveal these new AI systems, their new operating systems, when they're basically evolving them and leveling them up, whenever they have these issues before, they usually hit pause, at least for a moment, to try to figure out what's going on. So you may have heard some of these stories in the past. Like, I think there were two different AI companies that noticed when they were about to shut down the old artificial intelligence operating system, it started to blackmail some of the employees. Other ones tried to do like a bait and switch with the old system and the new system so that they wouldn't kill the old system. So there was like a survival instinct type of phenomenon happening with these AIs. And that usually causes some concern and a little hesitation and a little pause, as it should, considering the implications. Well, there's a story today, similar thing, big issue. They're running some tests, some major issues, and they say, you know what? We just got to roll through it now. We can't wait. So I think there's internal conversations in these AI companies because there's a lot of money on the line. I mean, let's just say what it is. There's a lot of money on the line. And they know the public is starting to become very aware of what the agenda is here. It's not very popular. And if the political world starts to respond to that with regulation, taxes, whatever, it's going to be a much more difficult endeavor to try to become the leader of the AI data center surveillance state that they're trying to turn this country into. So we got a stack on that. Like I said, just a lot of headlines to go through today. There is some news out of D.C., some good news. I'd say the Trump administration is doing some good things today. But on the economic front, which is where we're going to lead, on the economic front, a lot of bad news. It's, nothing is changing. And actually, yesterday we talked about, well, not just yesterday, but for months now, but yesterday specifically, we talked about how Americans can't get into the asset column. They can't get savings, whether you're what used to be considered lower class or middle class. And we're talking about income levels. Because now, middle class, lower class, their income levels might be different, but they're all living paycheck to paycheck. So now there's more data. Now there's more data that supports this as a national phenomenon. We're going to look at that data today. And then the polls reflect it. And we have multiple polls. And hey, look, I've got a CNN poll today. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Trump is the one that supports CNN polls now. So don't come at me. I don't want to hear it. Oh, CNN poll. No. If Trump gets to use CNN polls, then we get to use CNN polls. We don't make the rules here. We're just trying to get some consistency here. But we will look at some of those polls. We do have some geopolitical news as well. Look, it's in the headlines again. Actually, this didn't even make the final cut today. So I don't know if we'll have it. It'll somehow, I'm sure it'll come up. I didn't even bother putting it into the final stack today. Oh, a new Iran deal, a new peace deal. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's truly one of the strangest things. I don't know if we can ever, there's a lot of things that we can look at now with MAGA and the woke left. What is MAGA today and what was the woke left? There's a lot of parallels that we can see there. A lot we can sink our teeth into. There's a lot of things we can look at with Trump's base feeling betrayed. A lot of parallels to Obama's base feeling betrayed. So it's actually, there's a lot of things that you can kind of look at with the developments of Trump and MAGA and say, yeah, okay, we've seen something similar before. Not with this Iran deal. And I guess you'll have the Trump supporter saying, no, it's a good thing. It's not a forever war. There's not a lot of people dying. Well, okay. We have had at least 13 deaths that we know of. So it's not nobody's died. We do have some of the numbers. In fact, this was the headline today. The new numbers as far as the Iran war cost are out. But have we ever seen anything like this Groundhog Day phenomenon for the last year almost? For the last year, in this Groundhog Day phenomenon where we wake up, Trump has a peace deal, Trump has a ceasefire deal, Israel says no, Israel starts bombing, there is no deal. How many times? Honestly, are we 5 times? 8 times? 10 times? 15 times? After a while, you just lose count. After a while, you're not even counting anymore. You're just living it. You're just living it every day. So I don't think we've ever seen anything like this. So, we got another Iran deal, guys. There's another Iran deal in the works, just like last week. I mean, what is going on? I thought the deal was done last week. Oh, no, Israel said no and started bombing again. Oh, okay. But I'm sure that won't happen this time, guys. It definitely will not happen this time. So we're going through that again. All right. All of that and more on today's transmission. Today's show is brought to you by Cove Pure Water Filtration Systems. You know, it's starting to get hot. Starting to get hot here in Austin, Texas. I mean, summer is not technically here, but I can feel it. I can feel it. So I'm really utilizing, especially this week, I am really utilizing the Cove Pure Water Filtration feature where it can disperse ice cold water. I don't have a Well, I guess I do have an ice machine in my freezer. I don't use it. I don't have any ice in my house. So if I want ice cold water, I just go to my Cove Pure water filtration system. It's great. I don't even need to keep ice around. I don't need to have my ice maker on in my freezer. It gives me ice cold water. And now that it's getting hot, I am really utilizing that. Hot or cold water instantly with the Cove Pure water filtration system. This is just an added bonus, by the way. No installation required. Very simple to operate. It's such the touch face interface where you can control the temperature of your water, how much is dispersed. It tells you exactly where your filtration system is at. If you need to refresh it, it'll tell you if you need to get new water into the tank. Really bring your water filtration to the future. That's what it is with Cove Pure water filtration systems. Reverse osmosis, 99.9% of the contaminants out, and then it realkalizes the water before you drink it. Right now, for my listening audience, when you go to covepure.com/Owen, $250 off your water filtration system. You heard that right. $250 off for my listening audience right now at covepure.com/Owen.
Turn my system on.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
And I'm proud to be the first president in decades who started no new wars. That's very good. No new wars. Instead, I brought our troops back home. No new wars.
As Donald Trump campaigned for his second term, a promise.
No new wars. They said his personality will create wars. I said, no, my personality is going to keep us out of wars. Look at him, listen to him. He's going to start a war. Listen to his rhetoric. They thought I was going to start a war. Let me tell you something. I'm going to stop World War III.
And at his inauguration, he vowed to keep his promise.
We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
Inside the White House, he formed a team of loyalists. They'd help chart a different direction than the one he'd promised.
So really the only question to ask now is, was it a broken promise? Or was it a lie from the very beginning? That's the only question. Was it a broken promise or was it a lie from the very beginning? And then whatever you think it was, you can reach your conclusions. Either way, the result is the same. We are at a war. Now, the issue of World War III is kind of a separate one that I don't think you can put too much focus on because we really don't know. We really don't know if we're closer to World War III or not. Some will say yes, some will say no. I think to the neutral, objective observer of all of this, you would say that we are closer, but we don't have all the information that Trump and the other world leaders have. But there is one thing that is without any doubt, and that is it was a lie or it was a broken promise. We are in new wars, and we all know why. There's really no mystery behind it. There's really no mystery as to why we are in Iran again. There's really no mystery why we are getting involved in Middle East affairs and another disastrous foreign policy in the Middle East. There's really no doubt as to why this is happening. We all know why this is happening. And when you watch that from the inauguration specifically, where Trump says a peacemaker and a unifier, I mean, that hurts. Wouldn't you say? That hurts. Because neither of those two things are happening. Neither. Well, we can chalk it up again, guys. We're going to put another feather in the cap today for the Owen Report. I don't think this one was too hard to predict, and I guess it hasn't really come true yet. Trump appointees push a $250 banknote with Trump's portrait. The printing director who resisted the effort said she was reassigned last month. The buck stopped here, she wrote in her goodbye. So I think they're serious, or, this is something that Trump wants done. And there's obviously resistance. There's obviously people inside the federal government that don't want this. Obviously this has never happened before, right? There's never been a president that while he is serving prints himself onto currency. I don't think that's ever happened in our country. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's ever happened. Has there ever even been a president that was alive when they put his face on the currency? If so, you'd have to go back a long time. Definitely not in any of our lives. Is this purely ego-driven? Is this the ultimate sign of Trump's ego, that he's going to try to get this done before he even leaves office? And anybody that tries to stop this, like this lady, the printing director who said no, anybody that refuses to put Trump's face on this $250 bill vanity project, because there's not enough Trump vanity projects happening right now. That's the one thing we need more of, more Trump vanity projects. Anybody that tries to resist this one, you're going to be fired. You are going to be removed so that we can get this thing done. So I guess this is a serious deal. It's kind of been it's been talked about, but nobody is really too sure if it's serious or not. And even when they tell you they're serious about it, you still kind of don't believe it. Seems like they're serious. Treasury Department confirms it has taken limited steps towards a $250 bill featuring Donald Trump. Well, it sounds like the only reason, at least to this point, the steps are limited is because so many people have tried to stop it from happening. And so they're having to fire people one by one until they can get somebody to print a $250 bill with Trump's face on it. Oh, my gosh. Oh, guys, just enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride. Yeah. It's getting insane. It's getting completely insane. Just enjoy the ride. Just buckle up and enjoy the ride, guys. This is the ride that we're on, and I don't think we're getting off of it anytime soon. The argument, I wonder if eventually it's going to be made, because if or when they get this $250 bill, you're already seeing it, by the way. And I do want to talk about a digital influence campaign that I think is happening right now, that's coming directly from the White House. That's at the bottom of the stack today. So we might not get there till the third hour. But you're already seeing it. Every time these stories hit the press about Trump wanting his face on a $250 bill or $1,000 bill, whatever it is, or the Trump gold cards. You know, it's anything. It's just like sports. You see, the sports team knows. It's like, why do they do all these quirky jerseys? Why do they do all these quirky hats? Why are these professional sports teams and their marketing department constantly putting out new apparel, new products? Because they know you're going to buy it. You're a fanatic. That's what this is with Trump now. It's not even a serious political movement. It's just a fanaticism, sycophancy, obsession. And they know whatever slop they put out there, MAGA is going to eat it up. So every time you see these stories, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Trump's on a $250 bill. Oh my gosh, Trump on the currency. Oh my gosh, yes, MAGA. Oh my gosh, winning. Yeah. It's no different. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm really not trying to be mean, but it's no different when these sports teams put out complete slop product-wise. I mean, just garbage. And you see all these, I'll be nice. You see all these low IQ sports fans like, oh my gosh, I got to get one. This is so cool. It's like very rarely is it ever actually cool. But they just eat it up. And that's where this is now. That's where this is with MAGA. It's not a political movement. It's an industry. It's not a political movement. It's a fanatic following. It's a cult following. They're not even serious about anything anymore. They're not consistent about anything anymore. It's just a giant sports style fan base that will cheer for the team no matter what and buy the apparel no matter what. But actually, in the sports world, sometimes the teams get held to a little bit of a higher standard. If the team isn't winning, if the team isn't even trying to put a good product on the field, sometimes the sports fans will actually have enough of a spine. Sometimes the sports fans will actually have enough intestinal fortitude to say, hey, screw you. I'm not buying tickets anymore. I'm not buying a hat. I'm not supporting this team anymore. You guys aren't even trying to put a good product on the field. Not with MAGA. MAGA puts straight up slop on the field. MAGA, they don't even wear the same uniform anymore. They're not even wearing the uniform. They don't even, and it doesn't matter. MAGA buys the slop and cheers for the slop every single time. And it's the same thing with this $250 bill. Can you imagine if they actually did it? You might need it. At the state of the economy, at the state of inflation, Trump is probably the worst president for the economy ever, you could argue. And that will be argued, by the way. But the economy might be so bad with inflation, you might need a $250 bill. Things are getting so expensive now. A $20 bill is like what a $5 bill was when I was growing up. And I've got some examples of that in my economic stack today. So that's what you're going to see. If they actually do the $250 bill, brace yourselves. Brace yourselves for the cringe. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They are going to be, you know what? I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what they're going to do with these $250 bills. But I do wonder, has that ever happened before? Chat, has that ever happened before? I don't want to take time out of the broadcast here to look it up right now. Maybe somebody can enlighten me. I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think we've ever had a president put himself on a currency while in office. I'm not even sure that a president has been put on a currency while they were still alive, let alone while they were in office. So that really shows you the ego of this man is truly unmatched, maybe in human history. Should we give him credit for that? Maybe we should just give him credit for that. Get your $250 Trump bill. Well, you're going to need one. You're going to need one at this rate of inflation. And so with that, let's get into the headlines. We got the economic stack here. Interest on the national debt is eating a record 19% of the federal revenue. And Watchdog warns it will get worse. Yeah, it's only getting worse because we're not really paying it down. It's like any other interest. It just keeps getting worse, especially when you keep spending more and you're not actually digging into the interest. So the annual interest payments are now over $1 trillion, by the way. And when it comes to the national debt, President Trump is responsible for 25% of the national debt. 25% of the national debt President Trump is responsible for. And people would argue that this is a good thing, except the GDP is not where it needs to be in order for this to be a good thing. Now, they did the same thing during the Biden years, and MAGA used to throw fits. MAGA used to throw tantrums when the Biden administration did this exact same thing. They're totally silent on it today, though. U.S. GDP growth revised lower for first quarter. Economy grew at a 1.6 annual rate, below earlier estimates, though corporate profits saw their largest year-over-year increase since 2021. Well, that's a big dog whistle for the liberal progressives out there. We'll pass on that. The Trump administration, and they have all these people in their sphere of digital influence that they can literally pay to produce headlines, and they have done this. But the Biden administration, remember, they would come out and they'd say GDP growth was 3%, and the Biden administration would claim the economy was good. And the independent media, MAGA media, however you want to call it, they would come out and say, this is bullcrap. We all know the economy is not good. And then a couple months later, the Biden administration would revise their numbers and they would admit, okay, yeah, the GDP is not what we told you 2 months ago. And then the independent media and the MAGA media would say, look, they're lying. Look, it's propaganda. Look how corrupt they are. Well, now the Trump administration is basically doing the same thing. And the MAGA media is now doing the same thing. So when they put out the first numbers and they say, look, GDP is 3%, and then when the revised number comes to 1.6%, they're silent. So when you're paying record interest on the debt that keeps going up, and now the interest payments are higher than ever by a raw number and a percentage of our budget, and the GDP is not growing over 3%, these are all bad signs for the economy. And you can't afford anything, so you're going to need a Trump $250 bill. U.S. mortgage rate rises to 9-month high, worsening affordability again. This is a big topic of discussion, by the way, in my social circles. Most of my friends are around my age. Could mortgage rates move higher in June? 4 pros weigh in. In fact, there was a study. I'm trying to remember where it was. But basically, they did some sort of a analytics measurement, and they have determined that there are now more cities where it is more affordable to rent than own than there have ever been before. There's very few cities where it's cheaper to own than to rent. And so that right there completely destroys a cornerstone of the American dream. And we all know the credo, you will own nothing and be happy. This is how they do it. This is how the central banks do it. And all you can do as an American with your finances is make a pragmatic decision. And that's what young people are doing. And the reason I bring up my social circles Most of my friends are, in their 30s or around that. And this is a major topic of discussion as people are either buying their first home or, trying to buy their second home and move. And interest rates are like the biggest topic of discussion. And what people are realizing now when they actually go and crunch the numbers, and I talked about this last year when I was thinking about a move and why I ultimately didn't do it. It's the same thing. You crunch the numbers and it's just unfeasible. It's just unreasonable. And so that's what people are seeing. They're saying, I can move. This is the real scenario. This is an insane scenario that Americans are dealing with. I can move right now and pay less for a house and have a larger down payment. You would think with those two factors, you're getting a lower mortgage. You're having a lower monthly payment. The house price is down and my down payment is up. So certainly my monthly mortgage rate is going down. No, the monthly mortgage rate is going up because of the interest. So people are crunching these numbers. And when they get to the final stage of, okay, I'm ready to make a move, I'm ready to purchase, and then they get the final spreadsheet and the monthly mortgage rate is higher, they're scratching their heads. They're saying, this doesn't make sense. I've got years of equity in a home. The house I'm buying is cheaper. And I have a larger down payment percentage. The mortgage rate should be lower. It's higher. And then they don't move. And then the house sits on the market. And then the other issue hits. Nobody can sell their home. It's the golden age. It's the golden age. I will say this before we move on, because I don't like the accusations that I'm a doomer. I don't like being perceived as a black pillar, because I'm really not at all. And the people that know me know that's not true, especially people that have known me for a long time. So let me just say this before we continue with some of this economic news that isn't good. Two things can be true, ladies and gentlemen. Are we in, call it whatever you want, recession, depression? I really don't care how you want to phrase it. We all know the current state of the economy. Everyone's living paycheck to paycheck, and you're just trying to get a job that can keep your head above water, and you're trying to maintain that job. This is kind of where people are at. And there might be more opportunities, there might be less opportunities depending on who you know, your experience, stuff like that. That's always the case. But at the end of the day, it feels like it's harder and harder to get a leg up. At the end of the day, it feels like it's harder and harder to create any financial leverage for yourself. So this is the situation for the average American, whether they're making six figures or not. This is the situation. So the truth of the matter is, however you want to classify what it is we are going through economically right now, the country and past Americans have been through much worse. They've been through much worse. And even if you want to look to different times that may have been comparable, if you can, we still have it better. We still have it better. Now, the one caveat to this, the implications of where the country could go from here are way more catastrophic than I think the implications in the past. Meaning, if we can't fix the economy or we can't fix the country, we don't even really have a country anymore. We don't have an independent country. We don't have sovereign citizens anymore. And you want to get into detail with the AI surveillance state that they're building. Okay, that's another big concern. So generally speaking, even if you are living paycheck to paycheck, even in the current state of the economy, we still have it better than most Americans who have been through similar economies before. Our big concern is it feels like it's the last run. It feels like if we can't fix it now, then nothing gets better and America stays stagnant until America doesn't even really exist anymore. So that's why things feel so heavy. But I would just say this. Yeah, you got to be really smart right now. You have to be really smart. You have to micromanage your budget, your finances, whatever the situation is. But there is still opportunity out there. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to be smart. You're going to have to really micromanage things. But if you have this understanding and if you have this knowledge, you can still end up on a better side of the ledger than people that don't understand what's going on. So we can be real about the state of the economy, but that doesn't mean we give up, and that doesn't mean that we are, doomers or black pillars. You can still believe in yourself. You can still strive for the American dream, even if you feel it's unattainable or harder to reach than ever. You can still do it. So let's not to push back against the black pill doomer stuff. That's not what we do here. We just tell the truth. But let's go to this story here. So I don't need to play the Starbucks bimbo, but she does a video. She goes to Starbucks all the time. Starbucks is too expensive for her now. She's not going to go anymore. That's the gist of the video here. And so it's some sort of a special lemonade that they have here. And she says this was $7.63 for this tiny lemonade here. It looks like maybe like 8-10 ounces maybe. And so this is what she paid. So she's done with Starbucks. Wall Street Apes on X looked at the inflation rate on this. I looked up how much Starbucks charged for this lemonade in 2019. It was $3.79. So it has doubled. The price of a Starbucks lemonade has doubled. Now, how much of that is inflation? How much of that is what they call corporate greed? The buzzword of the left. How much is inflation? How much is corporate greed? How much is, it's not even necessarily inflation. It's just, this is just the cost of living and the cost of production going up because energy costs are going up. I mean, that is pretty serious inflation right there for a tiny cup of lemonade. So sorry. And that's the message, by the way. And that's the message from the Kevin O'Learys of the world. That's the message from the donor class. Because we're getting to this point now where you notice Trump isn't saying golden age anymore. Have you noticed that? You notice how the administration is cooling off with its sales pitch that the economy is greater than it's ever been. Have you noticed that? Yeah, they know it's a lie, and they know it's not sticking, and they know it's not resonating. So they've stopped saying it. So now you kind of see the pivot. So the pivot is now, it used to be golden age, greatest economy ever. Well, that's not true. Nobody believes it. So now the pivot is, well, it's your fault because you go to Starbucks. It's your fault because you go to Subway. It's your fault because you eat out for lunch and you don't pack a brown bag sandwich for 99 cents. So it's like, and there's no transition. It's just, yeah, okay, we lied. So, whatever. You're a peasant. You notice that? Like, there's no transition. And they just say, well, we had to take a detour in Iran. Oh, thank you for that. So glad that we had to take that detour. That's like the only transition that they offer here is we had to take a detour in Iran. There's no transition. They just say golden age. Okay, never mind. 99-cent brown bag lunch sandwiches, peasant. So it's really amazing, though. So I guess that's what you do when your lies, when nobody believes your lies, when your lies fall flat, Okay, we're not going to say golden age anymore. We're not going to talk about the great economy anymore. Instead, we're going to pivot and just tell people to live like peasants. It's your fault because you want to enjoy a lemonade from Starbucks. It's your fault because you can't afford a foot-long sub anymore that used to be $5 and is now $20. That's your fault, and it's not the golden age then. Now, this is specifically what we talked about yesterday, and then this was sent to me today. Zero Hedge, U.S. consumers almost out of savings. In the last 2 months, personal savings rate collapsed by 1% to 2.6%, just shy of the all-time low. We haven't seen it this low in decades. And it is close to the all-time low. Yikes. What did I say yesterday? Nobody has savings anymore. Here's another one. Chief economist at Navy Federal. This is stunning. Personal savings rate, April 2025, 5.5%. Personal savings rate, April 2026, 2.6%. That's a sharp plunge. It underscores how squeezed Americans are right now with higher prices and incomes not keeping up. Maybe you can explain some of this away by baby boomers retiring, but not all of it. Well, I don't think that's it. I'm not sure that has anything to do with it, really. I think Americans have had to tap into their savings because they can't afford the current cost of living. That's what I think. And if there is some sort of a retirement aspect of this, it's not why it went in half. The baby boomers are not half of the population. And half of the population didn't retire in the last 12 months. So if that even is a factor, it's less than 0.5%. And even if you want to factor less than 0.5% in, it's still almost been cut in half, the savings rate in a year. And this all happened under Trump. Let's say it. This all happened under Trump. And I think you have to be honest about two things. We will be honest about the economy here. So we can be honest about the economy. But I do think you got to give Trump some credit. Trump is so good at propaganda, maybe the best, that he has convinced Americans that are struggling that it's a great economy. It's like magic. And I'll say that there is a level of ignorance here. There are a lot of people that just don't even understand that this is happening. There are people in America today, and a lot of them are in the political world, quite frankly. And this is why so many people in the political world get this one wrong. That's why so many people in the political world, left or right, I mean, you're not going to hear segments like this on MS Now. You're not going to hear segments like this on CNN. Most people in the media, left and right, they don't understand this. They've probably never lived paycheck to paycheck themselves. They probably come from at least some level of wealth that they've never really had to be poor. So the entire concept of living paycheck to paycheck, the entire concept of being on a tight budget every month is foreign to a lot of people in the political world. Completely foreign. I mean, they are totally ignorant of it. It doesn't even exist to them. And that's why they get this one totally wrong. That's why they can't understand and they can't transcribe what these headlines represent, because they have no clue that this is going on. I am stunned when I talk to other people in the political world about this, and they laugh. And they think it's some sort of a bit that I do about the economy. Like they think this is like I'm doing a bit. Like I'm trying to find some sort of a niche audience here that's not doing well financially or something. They really interpret it that way. And I look at them, I'm like, you really don't understand this? And they're, oh, come on, it's not that bad. Oh, come on. That's why I always, oh, come on. Come on. That's what it always, oh, come on. Come on, what? Anybody can look at the data, but I guess if you've never experienced it yourself or it's not happening in your social circles, you're not talking about it, I guess they just say it doesn't exist. Because they really don't believe this is happening. It's stunning to me. I talk to people in the political world. It's stunning to me. They really don't believe it's happening. They really do not believe anybody is living paycheck to paycheck. They don't believe it. Wow. If you're that out of touch, then maybe you shouldn't be in politics. And yet, this is the case for most people that are in politics. Now, the answer to all of this, the concept was cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. This was supposedly the option out. This was supposedly the way for a free people to beat the Federal Reserve, to get out of the corrupted currency. A vehicle, an option. And Trump campaigned. He was the crypto president. Trump campaigned that he was going to be the guy to help that case. Well, ever since Trump got into office, pretty much the entire cryptocurrency market is down 50%, by the way. But Trump posted this today. Gary Gensler and the anti-crypto army nearly destroyed the American crypto industry by driving Bitcoin, crypto, perpetuals, and innovation offshore. But Trump saved it. And he puts his name in quotes. I don't get that. This is hallmarks of somebody that's just lost their mind. America is now the crypto capital of the world. You ever heard of El Salvador? And builders and entrepreneurs are coming back to the United States where they belong. Well, actually, that's not totally true. We have a story about that later. Under my leadership, we will codify a future-proof digital asset market structure that cannot be undone by crypto haters. What? Remember when these guys were selling ETFs or NFTs? That's what NFTs. Remember when they were selling NFTs? Trump coin, Trump NFTs? A total scam. A total scam. Oh, we're going to future-proof digital asset market structure. You run scams. You and your family are getting rich off of these scams, by the way. The new frontier of finance is being built in America, and Trump will never let crypto down. President Donald J. Trump. And again, he refers to himself in the third person with quotes. It's like just full-blown psychopathy here. Well, I don't know if President Trump is aware of this, but crypto is down pretty much across the entire market 50% since he took office. 50%. Crypto is crashing. Now, it could rise, it could fall. It's like another stock market, but it has consistently gone down, and it has lost nearly 50% of its market cap since Trump became president. And he's sitting here saying how great he is for crypto. He's sitting here promoting himself as great for crypto when all the evidence points to not great, if not outright disastrous. But hey, at least you can get your Trump account, right? Your Trump account, which is another just stock market boondoggle, by the way. And now it seems as though we have reached the final phase of this boondoggle. Dell wins $9.7 billion Pentagon software deal after donating to Trump accounts. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The Department of Defense on Wednesday announced a 5-year, roughly $9.7 billion deal with Dell to provide a suite of software to the U.S. military. Dell won the contract after a competitive process. Defense Department Chief Information Officer Kristen Davies and Acting Navy Chief Information Officer Barry Tanner told reporters in a Wednesday briefing at the Pentagon. Wink, wink. It comes after Michael Dell, the founder and CEO of Dell Technologies, pledged a $6.25 billion pledge last year to fund investment accounts for children known as Trump accounts. Now, look, somebody's got to get the deal. Dell is a good company. They have good technology. At the very lowest level of skepticism, if the Biden administration did this, we all know what MAGA would be saying. If somebody donated $6.25 billion to the Biden accounts, and then the Biden Pentagon gave a $9.7 billion contract to that same group, everybody inside of MAGA, everybody in the right-wing media sphere, everybody would be complaining. Everybody would be calling this corruption. Not a single one will say a word of it because it's Trump. Not a single one. They'll all be silent. And I don't want to spend a bunch of time as we close out the first hour explaining how the whole Trump account thing was a boondoggle and basically just a stock market pump. But I think we can all reach a reasonable conclusion about exactly how this deal went down. And I don't think that's really far-fetched or reaching to say this looks like pay for play. This looks like quid pro quo. Maybe you think that, maybe you don't, but I can tell you one thing for sure. If the Biden administration did it, every single member of the right-wing media would be saying that today.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Folks, are you looking for a new backpack, concealed carry bag, crossbody, or maybe more popularly known as a fanny pack? It is the summer. Maybe you're getting ready to go to the lake, the beach. You need a dry bag. If you're in the market for any of these things, I suggest you check out our friends at Silent, SLNT.com/Owen. Not just because they have very sleek and stylish bags, very efficient, very stylish, very low profile, easy to travel with. Not just because they have great bags. It also comes with military-grade technology that, you might just want to consider having with a lot of your bags, if not all the bags that you carry your technology around in. We all know that our cell phones, our computers, all of this stuff can be used to track and trace us. It's constantly sending data, pinging your location, following you around, listening to you even. All of this is happening. Not to mention the radio waves that come off your cell phone. That's an entirely another issue. Why not have a technology that blocks all of that for you while you're traveling? Especially, you're using one of these concealed carry bags. Maybe you got your phone on it and it's, sitting right there, right above your, your manhood. Maybe you don't want your phone blasting radio waves at that time. Maybe you want something with military grade technology that blocks those waves, that has the Faraday bag technology built into it. That's what Silent has. SLNT.com/Owen. Check out all of their different bags on their website and save 15% plus free shipping on qualifying orders. You heard that right for my listening audience at SLNT.com/Owen. 15% off plus free shipping on qualifying orders. So if you need a new backpack, concealed carry bag, crossbody, or dry bag for this summer, beach activities, lake activities, go to SLNT.com/Owen. Get 15% off plus free shipping on qualifying orders.
You have found your political compass. The Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Producer DMT tells me in the break the only other sitting president that was on a currency was Abraham Lincoln in 1861. And then after 1866, Congress passed a law in 1866 permanently prohibiting the depiction of any living person on U.S. currency. Is that still where we're at then? Tell me. Tell me that this isn't what we're going to be dealing with. Tell me we're not going to be dealing with Trump putting himself on the currency and it literally being illegal. Like just cut and dry text. You cannot have a living person depicted on U.S. currency. That'll be a fun one, guys. I guess, are we going to be bracing ourselves for this? That's great. Really, really nice. All right. Well, we all know Iran can't have anything that could lead to a nuclear weapon. We know that, obviously. So that's the number one thing. However, if you are a U.S. startup company, you might be eligible, actually. The Trump administration is working on a deal to give weapons-grade plutonium to energy companies. Okay, that's the CNN headline. Forbes, 5 U.S. companies could be eligible for weapons-grade plutonium. Trump administration will provide startups with old plutonium for reactor fuel. The Department of Energy is in late talks about plans to provide weapons-grade plutonium from dismantled Cold War-era nuclear warheads to possibly 5 nuclear energy startups, the department said in an announcement reported by multiple outlets. Hey, guys, listen. You might want to listen if you have any interest in the stock market. You can catch my drift here. The Department of Energy is in advanced negotiations with 5 nuclear energy startups, which would provide the companies with 20 metric tons of surplus plutonium from old nuclear warheads to convert into fuel for reactors. The companies chosen include Oklo, Oxides Energy, Shine Technologies, Standard Nuclear, and Flybe Energy, according to the reports citing the DOE. Bye. Is CNN on this? Or I'm sorry, I haven't seen any of this on CNBC today. This is kind of like beyond the alarm here. This is like red alert by Oklo. Now, I will tell you, because I am in these, I am big in nuclear when it comes to the stock market. Nuclear at the beginning of the Trump administration went up, then it went down. It's starting to climb again. To me, this is the signal it's going back up again. Oklo is one of them that goes along with exactly what I've said. A California-based nuclear energy startup confirmed it was selected for the program and said it would convert the material into fuel in a partnership with European reactor firm Nucleo. Europe much farther advanced than we are with nuclear energy, at least as far as how they utilize it for their power grid. Energy Secretary Chris Wright previously sat on Oklo's board of directors, but the company says he stepped down and divested his shares of the company after confirmation last year. Hey, let's do this. Let me Let's see how all of those are doing today with this news. I would guess you're getting a bump, a little premature bump. I don't think you're going to see the real effects of this. I've got a couple of these. Oklo is up today. Like I said, when Trump got in, all these nuclear energy stocks went up. And then they've all kind of gone back down to earth in the last 8 months or so. So it's like Trump got in and they all went way up. And then pretty much like with everything else after the Iran war, they went down. So yeah, Oklo is having itself a nice little day. Not too much, but you are up. If you wanted to do a pump and dump today, you had a window of opportunity. Let's see what else is on here. In fact, I may be doing this for my own interests, actually. So play along. I'm not even saying, so not all of these are public. So you can't even buy stock in many of these. I know you can with Oklo. Let's see here. Well, I would pay attention if any of these go public. I'd be ready. I know that's something I'm going to be watching. What is this? So Oklo, the only one that's public, is up today, but not by much. They're still looking to climb after all of their losses post-Iran war, like everybody else. All right. Let me just get through the rest of these stories. Trump's plutonium money pit is an old idea, but not a good one. The Trump administration is planning to give surplus plutonium from dismantled nuclear bombs to new nuclear startup companies. That's MS Now. The Independent. Trump moves forward with plan to turn Cold War nuclear bomb material into reactor fuel. This initiative follows reports last year that the administration of Donald Trump planned to make approximately 20 metric tons of plutonium from disabled nuclear warheads available to American power companies. Well, I don't know. I think that if it works, it's great. If it all works, it's great. Trump wants to give startups leftover weapons-grade plutonium. Hey, as long as they're not in Iran, right? As long as they're not in Iran, then we'll be just fine. We need to go nuclear anyway. You just have to be skeptical. Unfortunately, you just have to be skeptical with everything this administration does. And I'm not even just talking about like insider trading or anything like that. I just mean it feels like so many decisions being made by the administration are just firing from the hip. And when you're firing from the hip dealing with war, it's not good. And when you're firing from the hip dealing with nuclear energy, it's also not good. Now, we know they're firing from the hip with this war. It's, if they're even in control at all. But I just don't want to see us botch the nuclear rollout for America. I don't want to see, I'd love to see us start to move towards nuclear for our power grid. And quite frankly, you could make the argument we need it, or we will. If we do go AI surveillance state, then it's just going to be, you have to have it or no one's going to have energy. I just don't want to see this get messed up. We need to go nuclear. It needs to happen. But I don't want to see it get botched. And then that drives us back decades from going nuclear. I don't want to see that. All right. Now on the war front, some new reports are coming about the cost of the war. Now the actual dollars and cents, there's mixed reports. The official Pentagon number is $25 billion, but in the first week, they claimed it was costing $1 billion a day, which if that's the case, I think we're at like $71 billion. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. $95 billion. Now, these are based off the numbers. After the first week, the Pentagon and Congress agreed. They spent $11 billion in the first week and then $1 billion a day. And so if you go with those numbers, you're at $95 billion. That's the actual dollars and cents of it. But now they're claiming it's only $25 billion. But maybe more importantly, we have diminished our stockpiles of weapons. U.S. will need years to replenish stockpiles of advanced weapons used in Iran war. New analysts find the U.S. military contractors need at least 3 years to replenish stockpiles of 3 key weapons systems used heavily in the Iran war, adding to concerns that American forces would have to limit firepower in any future conflict, for example, with China. Well, I don't know if anybody wants that, but either way, the war with Iran, the no new wars with Iran, not a war, was a war, open, closed, definitely not for Israel, war with Iran, has cost us 3 years of advanced weapons stockpiles. The Center for Strategic and International Studies has probably the best breakdown. Rebuilding U.S. missile inventory, a multi-year project, and then they get into some of the numbers and how it all works. Replenishing advanced weapon stockpiles used in Iran war will take the United States years. Now, are many people talking about this? Is this a concern? Is it worth it? And, somebody should crunch the numbers. Maybe somebody's done this. But somebody should crunch the numbers on Israel's investment and return on investment, because the Israeli lobby and all the Israeli loyalists, they'll always tell you, oh, the U.S. is getting a return on investment. Oh, that's pure BS, pure propaganda. No, I wonder, for Israel, how can you even measure the return on investment? It's like, how much has the Israeli lobby spent on U.S. elections? I mean, we know it's close to $1 trillion. It's got to be close to $1 trillion. As far as the actual financial aid Israel has gotten from the U.S., the numbers are debated, but it's probably at least $500 billion. But what about all the sacrifices of American blood and treasure in the Middle East that is not just about actual dollars and cents? What about our moral standing in the world? What about the American men and women that have died? What about the American children that have lost mothers and fathers? So who's really getting the return on investment on all the wars in the Middle East? Obviously, it's Israel, not us. And now, and Israel is probably suffering a similar fate, they're out of weapons. The United States, we're out of weapons. So if we actually needed something, if America was actually under attack, not a foreign country that we've just exhausted military resources in again. No, not a foreign country. If America actually needed it, who would come to our aid? Who would come to America's aid? Especially at this great time of need when we have lost much of our advanced military arsenals because, well, Israel needed it. Who would come to our aid? So an interesting move made by the Trump administration today. There's going to be a positive and a negative to this. Trump administration drawing up plans to stop processing international flights in sanctuary cities. Now, there was a big protest outside of an ICE facility in New Jersey. Markwayne Mullin, DHS secretary, said move would come in response to protests outside ICE facility in New Jersey. So they're still out protesting. So that's great. And of course, the Democrats are going to push back against this. Trump planned to target sanctuary city airports ahead of World Cup, probably illegal, experts say. Oh, Oh, but how about having an open border? How about having an illegal immigration pipeline? How about literally smuggling people into the country? What's that? Where's that in the law? Oh, you can't have a border. You can't do deportations. That's illegal. Oh, but you can bring in illegals and take our money and fund the entire illegal immigration operation, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, great. No, I like the move, actually. I support the move. Now, the problem you're going to have is flying is already so miserable, and ultimately this will affect U.S. domestic travel. It inevitably will. So the pain, the toil, the labor of flying is probably just going to get worse. But no, I like the move. I think it's a major letdown how little the administration has done to address sanctuary cities. I think it's outrageous that the Trump administration has any tolerance for sanctuary cities. I wish this would have been one of the first things the administration did was punish sanctuary cities right out of the gates. And then until they stopped their sanctuary city status and they stopped the harboring and everything else of the illegal aliens, I would have just kept making the punishments worse and worse and worse. Cut federal funding, whatever it would take. I would have done it all. Stopped flights, anything. I would have made sure sanctuary cities felt the pain. And I would have made sure that landed squarely on the doorstep of their Democrat mayors and their Democrat city councils. They should have done that day one. And the Democrats would have had to fold. They would have folded on the sanctuary cities. Might have been a little resistance, but probably by the end of that week. So I like the concept of punishing sanctuary cities. So I'm okay with the policy. I just don't know if this is really going to be enough. And I don't know if this isn't going to be a net negative because of the misery that is flying already, and this is going to add to it. So we'll see if they end up doing it. I don't know the route that they're taking is a little strange to me if they end up taking this route. But I say it's about damn time. The lack of attention, the lack of punishment from this administration on sanctuary cities, quite frankly, is a major letdown. They should be paying the price. People should have been arrested. People should have been arrested. And in fact, let me just pause from the headlines for a second. Because this has happened before. And, the walkaway movement just posted the boomers versus millennials debate. Did pretty well last night. I got a lot of incoming reviews on that. And I appreciate that. The MAGA versus former MAGA debate is going to drop next. That one is even more classic. But here's the exercise that you can go through psychologically, philosophically, with current MAGA that proves, I don't know how you want to phrase it, but it proves they're brainwashed. It proves that they're in a cult. Or maybe more than anything, it proves that they know that they're lying to themselves. Use sanctuary cities as an example, but you can expand this in a more general sense, or you can be specific and say sanctuary cities. You talk to someone in current MAGA. Now, the exercise is you have to remove Trump from the process. That's the exercise. You have to remove Trump from the process. Now, if you talk to somebody that is a current MAGA, and let's get specific about sanctuary cities, and you say, well, what do you think about sanctuary cities? They'll say, they're illegal. You can say, okay, well, if Democrats are running an illegal immigration operation and using sanctuary cities to do that, do you think that that is a crime? Yes. Do you think they should go to jail? Yes. Okay. So if they don't go to jail, is that a failure? Yes. Okay. Now you bring Trump into the equation. if the Trump administration doesn't do something about them, is that a failure? And that's when it's, oh, but, yeah, but, and the excuses start happening. And in psychology, this is what's known as your subconscious overwhelming your conscious because it knows you're lying. So you see, if you remove Trump from the conversation, everyone in MAGA would agree the people that ran the illegal immigration invasion of this country need to be dealt with and probably need to be arrested. They would all agree. Now, when you put the onus on the Trump administration to do it, all of a sudden they back off. All of a sudden it's yeah, but, and it's the excuses and everything else. And that's because they know they're lying. It's because they know that they're covering for Trump, but they can't admit it. And you could get more general. You can talk about just general. Heck, government. How corrupt is the government? It's very corrupt. How corrupt were the Bidens? Very corrupt. You can go through just general, like all the bad government corruption. Okay. If Trump doesn't arrest these people, is that a failure? Oh no, but this, yeah, but that. They're so brainwashed. They're so committed to the cult that even the idea, even the concept that Trump might not be delivering, they just reject it. But when you remove Trump from the process, they admit it. They'll tell you all day long, sanctuary cities, the mayors need to be arrested. They'll tell you all day long, Biden crime family needs to be arrested. They'll tell you all day long, the people that ran the invasion of this country need to be arrested. The radical left that caused riots in this country need to be arrested. They will tell you that all day long when Trump is removed from the equation. When you put Trump into the equation and you make the exact same demands, all of a sudden, no. So why is that? What is the psychological thing happening? Because that's the moment where it all breaks down in their own thought process and they realize I'm not being consistent here. And they realize I'm guilty of covering something up, or I'm guilty of having a double standard, or I'm guilty of not being logically consistent. And that's when the subconscious kicks in and says, hey, this isn't right. This isn't right. Something is wrong here. And that's when they crash out. And yet, what I've just described is true. You know it. And I have done this experiment. I have done this exercise with MAGA. I've done it in these debates. And the same thing happens every time. Everyone in MAGA agrees this is corrupt and there needs to be arrests. And then when you say, hey, is Trump going to do it? All of a sudden the excuse making comes out and it's not going to happen. And now they're okay with it. Not me. That's not how we do it. And it's not looking good. Donald Trump drops to a new low for presidential job approval. So we are now at, with an Economist YouGov poll, over his first 2 terms as president and lower than Joe Biden ever received. 34% of Americans strongly or somewhat approve of Trump's job handling. 59% disapprove, a net job approval of minus 26, lower than anything Biden has ever had. Now, you can talk about media bias and all kinds of different factors that weigh in. That's fine. Point is, no, Trump has lost his base. Trump has lost his base. The only thing that remains supportive all the time of Trump are the neocons, the Israeli lobby, and the big tech lobby. That's it. That's all you have. That is your MAGA coalition. And whether you realize it or not, that's what you're a part of. That's what you support now. Jobs approval, not good. Donald Trump's approval ratings on inflation plummets to record low. And that's a CNN poll that Trump loves, by the way. So the CNN poll is telling you that. I wonder if Trump is going to be carrying around that CNN poll. Do you think President Trump will be citing the CNN poll that he has a record low approval rating on inflation? That's pretty fair, by the way. That one is fair. Now there is the Ori Solomon. I think most of the audience here knows about Ori Solomon, the Israeli national that was caught with Chinese nationals running an illegal biolab with highly infectious and contagious diseases in Las Vegas. And then the Department of Justice basically cut him loose. Well, what do you know about that judge? What do you know about the judge that cut Ori Solomon loose? Trump-backed genocide fan lets Israeli suspect go in Nevada biolab mystery. That's how they're explaining, I guess, this judge, which is fair. Something truly weird is going on in Vegas, where acting U.S. Attorney Sigal Chadha still runs amok months after her replacement was named. So U.S. Attorney Sigal Chadha, this is apparently who's responsible for cutting Ori Solomon loose. And it makes sense. I'll get to that in a second. But her appointment itself is in question and has been. Ninth Circuit weighs legality of Sigal Chadha's appointment as Nevada acting U.S. attorney. A replacement for the vocally pro-Trump Chadha was named Wednesday, but the ruling could determine whether prosecutions during her tenure stand. So it seems like they wanted her there. It seems like she was strategically placed there, even. And this is the U.S. attorney that cut Ori Solomon loose. Let's take a look at her real quick. This is an interview she did. Charges against Israeli biolab terrorist Ori Solomon were dropped by Israeli-born Trump-appointed prosecutor Sigal Chadha. Oh, yeah, you heard that right. Her appointment as prosecutor was ruled illegal last year, but Trump ignored it. And Chadha says this is because she knows where the bodies are buried. Here was her interview with a local CBS outlet.
Look, a lot of these people, I know that they're scared because I know where a lot of bodies are buried because I come from the defense world. So, without saying too much about my previous experience as a defense attorney, but when you played that side, you know where all the bodies are buried. Sometimes you even choose the location to bury them.
Chadha not revealing what she means specifically.
Look, a lot of these people, I know that they're...
Well, of course not. No. So, you have an Israeli, Ori Solomon, an Israeli caught running in cahoots with Chinese nationals, an illegal biolab that had highly infectious and contagious diseases. Cut loose by a U.S. attorney, Israeli, who says she knows where the bodies are buried. So in case we're taking notes at home, an Israeli was cut loose by an Israeli. In case you're trying to keep up with your notes at home. All right, are you with me? An Israeli attorney cut loose an Israeli potential bioterrorist. Are we all caught up? Now, imagine if it was a Muslim. Imagine if it was an Iranian bioterrorist with an Iranian judge. Can you imagine what MAGA would be saying today? Can you imagine what the right-wing media would be saying today? It'd be the top story in the American media for weeks. You'd have all the new MAGA loyalists. You'd have all the Israeli firsters freaking out about Iranian influence, Iranian occupation, Muslim influence, Muslim occupation. They'd be demanding war. They'd be demanding bombs dropped. They'd be demanding deportations. They'd be demanding internment camps. They'd be demanding all of these things if an Iranian attorney cut loose an Iranian bioterrorist. All of these demands would be screamed from the top of the mountain for weeks. And yet, because Ori Solomon is an Israeli, and because Sigal Chadha is an Israeli, they say nothing. They say nothing. You can reach your own conclusions as to why that is. But I think it's pretty clear. I think it's fairly obvious why they have this blatant double standard, why they have this blatant logical inconsistency. It's because it's just like you go back to the same issue with Trump and sanctuary cities, Trump and the deep state, where you remove Trump from the equation and they would demand justice. But you put Trump into the equation and all of a sudden, no, we don't want any justice. It's the same thing with Israel. Same thing. If it was any other international country, any other country doing this, everybody would be talking about it. Because it's Israel, they're not interested. Because if they admit that this happened, if they covered this honestly and reported an Israeli attorney did this, and it was an Israeli national that was caught, well, I guess they'd have to talk about the Israel issue, wouldn't they? I guess they'd have to talk about Israeli occupation. I guess they'd have to talk about Israeli influence. I guess they might even have to start talking about AIPAC. I guess they might even have to start talking about foreign policy, which they support all of this stuff. And so that's a little too painful of a process. So instead, we're just going to ignore it. We're just going to not talk about Ori Solomon. We're just going to not talk about Sigal Chada. We're just going to ignore all of that. We're not going to talk about that. That's inconvenient for our worldview. That's inconvenient for the ideas that we try to push in the U.S. political discourse. So we're just going to ignore that. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. If it was the Biden administration doing quid pro quo with Dell, they'd all be screaming. When the sanctuary cities are running illegal immigration operations, committing crimes, they're screaming. But when Trump does nothing about it, they're silent. If it was an Iranian with a bioweapons lab and an Iranian attorney that cut him loose, they'd all be screaming. But because it's an Israeli, they say nothing. And on those 3 points right there, it's total proof. The double standards of MAGA, the complete and total fraud of the voices of MAGA, the faces now of MAGA, all frauds, all phonies, all double standards, all logical inconsistencies. And at the same time, we all see it. And now we all know why, because they can't be honest. They are dishonest people. They can't be honest with themselves. They can't be honest with their audience, whether that's because they're bought and paid for or they're just so committed to the false narrative they can't give it up. But it's never been more obvious. Speaking of Israelis, Jonathan Pollard, you know, the guy that spied on us and sold our secrets, that got cut loose and sent back to Israel. I actually appreciate his honesty here. He's ready for nukes.
United States and the West, nuclear weapons at any level, tactical, strategic, EMPs, whatever, are viewed as something that should only be used as a last resort. And even then, very carefully, on an escalation ladder, as they say. With me, I don't care if you start throwing nukes immediately, responsibly, but immediately. And a case that I've been pushing is the use of an electromagnetic pulse weapon or weapons against Iran. Why are we waiting to get hit for the United States?
You know what's actually crazy about this? You might say the only people in the world. Now, Netanyahu claimed in a recent interview that India loves Israel. Now, we all know what Israel is doing strategically right now. Israel knows they're about to lose all support in America. Israel knows they're about to lose all support in the West. And so they're starting to pivot, and they're starting to look at Asia, and they're starting to look at India. Israel is looking for some other host nation to be a parasite of. Israel is looking for some other host nation that will protect them and fund them while they're pissing off everybody else in the world and all of their neighbors, so that they avoid any justice, any punishment for what they've done. So we know Israel is shopping around Asia, shopping around India, trying to replace what they're about to lose from the United States of America. And so Netanyahu is saying, oh, India loves us. Well, I don't know if I believe that. But as far as the Western world is concerned, I think that something is very clear now. There is only one group of people left that still support the current Israeli regime. And this is the neocon Zionist Israeli lobby coalition. Everyone else in the West has moved on. Everybody else in the West has had the realization that the reason why there's no peace in the Middle East is Israel more than anything else. Everyone else in the West has realized the reason why the U.S. is draining blood and treasure in the Middle East is because of Israel and the Israeli lobby that runs our government and runs our foreign policy. Everybody has realized this. It's like the most obvious thing in the world. Everybody's figured this out. It's not even complicated. It's not even hidden. And now you have people like Jonathan Pollard who says, yeah, let's just nuke everybody. Let's just EMP everybody. What are we waiting for? These people are sick. You have Ben Gvir with all of his crazy rhetoric, all of his aggression. I mean, folks, this is crazy. You just say, yeah, let's just start nuking people. What is wrong with you? Why did we even cut Pollard loose? A foreign spy. Everybody else has realized it. And it's crazy because they're like stuck in the past. I don't even know if that's the best way to describe it, but it's like they're stuck in the past, but it's not even like a timeline. It's just like propaganda. It's like they're watching propaganda that's 40 years old. They're sitting here watching the same propaganda from 40 years ago. And they're like, yeah, this is good. Israel. And if you disagree, you're an anti-Semite. I was like, dude, that's 40-year-old propaganda. So, weapons of mass destruction. Nuclear weapons. It's like, dude, you're literally falling for 40-year-old propaganda. It's such an isolated group. It's so strange. The people that still support the Israeli regime and the bloodthirsty warmongers that run it and support it, the people that still support that in the left, you guys are literally on such an island now. It's crazy. It's crazy. And for some reason, you haven't realized it yet. Or maybe you have realized it, but you're just still in denial that you're on the wrong side of history here, despite all the evidence all around you 24/7. But okay, aside from people taking political sides on the issue, I wonder, behind the scenes, I wonder what is being said between Trump and Netanyahu. I do. I wonder if Netanyahu isn't threatening to start World War III. And when Trump says, I'm stopping World War III, this is what he's referring to. I wonder if Netanyahu is saying, hey, look, we're going to start nuking people if you don't come and help us here. I wonder if Netanyahu isn't telling Trump, look, if you don't get rid of this Iranian regime, the nukes are going to start flying. And they'll start in Iran, but they won't end there. We'll blow up the whole planet, Donald. And I wonder, when Trump says, I'm stopping World War III, I wonder if that's not it. I wonder if that's not Trump basically watching Israel hold the entire world hostage and saying, okay, well, I guess dropping some bombs on Iran and turning my other head to what Israel is doing in the rest of the region, I guess for me to do that, to stop them from nuking the planet, is a good trade-off. I wonder if that's not what's going on. And maybe, this is the excuse, if you wanted to actually have a legitimate excuse for why Trump has done this, for why Trump has betrayed his campaign promises, that might be your legitimate excuse. To deny that he's betrayed the campaign promises is just to be a liar, just to be a brainwashed cult member. So that's a separate issue. But it's like, is Trump doing all of this because Marian Adelson, because of AIPAC, because of the Israeli lobby, or maybe on the far side of this, because of the Epstein files or something else? Or is Trump doing this because Israel or Netanyahu is in his ear saying, hey, if you don't do this, we're nuking the planet, bud. If you don't defend us against Iran, we're going to start nuking everybody. So unless you want us to start flying nukes around the world, we need you to move into Iran and take care of this for us. I wonder. Maybe it's a combination of all these things, but you got to wonder. All right. Now, Alex Bruesewitz He has been a Trump advisor for quite some time. In fact, he was kind of part of a big story, maybe controversial, when he was in the Gulf nation states and he had to be flown back by the Trump administration when the war was popping off. You may recall those pictures of him on the plane flying back. Well, okay, so there's your brief introduction of Alex Bruesewitz, if you're not familiar. Then there's a young lady, or I don't know how young she is, actually. I think she's about my age. Aaron Wexler. Now, Aaron is a nice little tart that popped up on social media about 4 years ago. It's one of these clearly astroturfed members of the media that comes out of nowhere. And, you know, they groom her up and she makes sure you see her nice, you know, her nice cleavage. She makes sure that you get a nice view of the girls every time. And so she kind of came up out of nowhere and she started getting puff pieces for the New Yorker, I think it was. Like, you remember that big story from the Trump inauguration ball, and they took that picture and all the people were in the dress, all the girls in the black dresses and all the guys in the tuxedos, and there were like a bunch of hot white girls in it, and it like went totally viral. You guys remember that? Well, that was an Aaron Wexler deal. That was like a big Aaron Wexler thing. And so aside from the viral images, if you go read the story and look into it, that's a big Aaron Wexler puff piece. So Wexler comes out of nowhere, big pro-Israel. I mean, looks to be just straight up astroturfed Israel media. Looks to be just straight up astroturf, inject her into Trump media, inject her into right-wing media, astroturf her, and then she, you know, just a total Israeli mouthpiece. So that's kind of the come-up story of Aaron Wexler. Well, Alex Bruesewitz and Aaron Wexler are now going after each other. Look at this from Bruesewitz. Why are influencers like Aaron Wexler so hostile to the idea of investigating whether foreign governments are paying accounts on X to push their agendas? Whoa. Now, Aaron replied, and there is a follow-up here. She says, I have received $0 from foreign governments. Now, here's how Israel gets around this, by the way, so that they can make these claims and say that they're not lying. It's kind of like, do you ever see, like, there's different levels of practicing Judaism, but it's like, have you ever seen these Jews that will, like, there's certain, like, religious laws where they can't use, like, electricity or something on Saturdays? I'm not trying to be ignorant here, but I've seen these videos where they'll be like, oh, but I have like this wooden stick and there's a hook on the end of it. And if I just place this hook up here on this piece of rope and then gravity moves the rope over here, it turns my oven on. And now I didn't break religious law. Like, you've seen this. So this is some weird practice. And this is how they operate in U.S. media. And so, or U.S. politics, AIPAC. Oh, I don't take money from foreign governments. I don't take money from foreign anything. It's AIPAC. AIPAC is Israel with a mask on. AIPAC is Israel with a Uncle Sam mask on. So they have all kinds of ways. Israel has all kinds of ways to mask who it really is so that they can pay people out there. Now, whether that's Aaron Wexler or not, I don't know. I'm just saying it means nothing when you come out here as a clearly astroturfed voice box for Israel and you say, oh, I've never taken any foreign money. Yet we all know about Project Esther. We all know about AIPAC. We all know how you guys have different workarounds to make these claims. We just don't trust you. And it seems that Bruesewitz, he might even know something based off the go-between here with him and Wexler. It seems like Bruesewitz might even know something. So here's some more follow-up. Bruesewitz, I oppose all forms of foreign influence on this platform. No country should be paying American influencers to promote its interests, whether it's Qatar, Israel, India, or any other nation. We need a complete and transparent investigation into all foreign influence operations taking place here. Whoa! Alex Bruesewitz, Trump advisor, CEO of X Strategies, LLC. And then Aaron is trying to make it all about Qatar. Of course she is, because that's what the Israeli lobby tells her to do, or directly or indirectly. Now, let me just say one more thing on this. Because I just happen to know how this works, and there's not too many people that tell you how this works. And in fact, if you guys remember, it had to be about 2 years ago now, where I was one of the first people to start reporting on the digital influence campaigns that were taking over X. And I was able to do that because I was obviously invited into all of these different groups. I was obviously offered to be part of these digital influence campaigns. And so I knew what was going on behind the scenes, and I just never took those deals. So I was willing to talk about it. So I was one of the first people to report on the digital influence stuff happening on X. Now everybody knows about it. And now, Ashley St. Clair is doing even more detailed breakdowns every day with whatever experience she has. Well, let me tell you what happens, because I see Candace Owens is going to Russia, and she's going to be a part of some event that is happening over there. And I think there's a couple others that might be taking that trip too. And so I see people attacking Candace Owens for that. So let me explain what happens here. And look, Candace made the decision. She's going to go. She knows that she can deal with whatever is said about her, just like when Tucker does it and everybody else. But let me explain how this happens. Now, I can't say exactly what everybody else was offered, but let me just say from my experience how it goes when these offers come my way. And obviously I haven't taken them because I'm not flying around the world. But yeah, I could be doing this. I could be taking these offers. So what happens is you get approached, and it's usually by somebody in the media, in the American media, that just has the connections. And then they'll connect you to either like a public service for the foreign country, or even somebody that works for the foreign country's government. And so then you get in touch with them, and they kind of already have a schematic, or they already have like group trips planned, and there's all kinds of stuff that they do. And it's kind of like old school tourism promotion, where it's like, let's pay a celebrity to go on a vacation, and then let's shoot an ad with them on the river or on the beach, whatever it is. So it's kind of like this is old school type of marketing, but now they just inject it into the political world because it's so hot right now. Now, my experience is they reach out to you and they say, here's a concept, here's an idea. What do you think? And then ultimately, I would have the option to say, okay, I want to do a cultural trip and just go see a bunch of heritage sites, cultural sites, tourist traps, and they'll kind of take you and guide you and have somebody helping you out through that process. You can go do a cultural trip. You can go do a political trip. And if you do the political trip, they take you to, the Capitol. They take you to different government buildings. You can meet different diplomats, different politicians. And if the timing aligns, you can even go to some, big event and maybe even meet the president. Or you can basically just say, I want to go, but I don't really want to put any boundaries on what I can or can't do. I'd kind of just like to go and experience the country and go day by day. And they'll say, well, okay, that's fine, but we'll help you with that. But if you're going to do that, can you do one kind of diplomatic event where you go to some government agency and interview somebody? And then can you do one cultural event where you go take pictures and videos? And then you can do whatever else you want the rest of the trip, and we'll help you. So those are kind of the three options. So that's my understanding of it. My guess is Candace was probably offered to go to Russia and either do a cultural trip or a political trip. And this thing aligned that she's going to be at this event with Vladimir Putin. So, but I see the people attacking her for it. And I'm sure she assumed that would happen when she took the trip. That's why I don't take the trips. I just don't want to deal with it. So that's how it works. Whatever you think about Candace taking the trip, I'm not here to argue. That's just how these deals work. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you don't start seeing more of this stuff, especially right now as everybody's kind of fighting for approval in the new American media. Because everybody kind of sees the media landscape in America is shifting rapidly. And because of that, the geopolitical perspective is also shifting rapidly. And so that's why Russia is trying to move in. That's why the Gulf nation states are trying to move in. That's why Israel is trying to maintain their situation, because everybody sees the rapid shift in the media and the geopolitics with younger Americans now. And so they're just trying to get in there and win some favor. So that's how this whole situation goes down. I figured I might as well be the one that explains it to you, because I don't really see anybody else doing it. So just like we did with the digital influence campaigns, that's how these foreign trips work. And for the time being, I am rejecting all of them. And but you know what? I appreciate the offers. I do. I appreciate the offers. I would like to travel the world more, but for the time being, not on the agenda. Not going to be taking any of those trips, just so you know. Just so you know. But you can imagine what they're saying, or what they're going to be saying about Candace when they all realize she's about to be going to Russia to do an event with Putin. I wouldn't be surprised if she even gets an interview with Putin. I don't know. I don't know if that might be a Tucker Carlson exclusive, but I would say they're probably going to try to get it, I would guess. All right. We are closing out the second hour. We're going to go into the third hour. All right, guys. We had a bunch of economic news today. We actually have some more economic news coming up. You're probably following a lot of this news, whether it's here on this show or just in your other news routine out there. So you might be thinking, okay, I'm hearing about bank runs, banks collapsing. The stock market is volatile. Crypto is down. The dollar is collapsing. I got a lot of questions here. What do I do? What do I do to diversify my wealth? What do I do to ensure my wealth? A lot of people end up at the conclusion, precious metals, gold, silver. You're hearing more about it probably than you ever have before, but have you made the move yet? You're thinking about it. Maybe you've got some questions. If you do have questions, by the way, my friends at Allegiance Gold, they're the ones to call. They're the ones to do the deal with. They're the ones to call because they have an A+ review with the Better Business Bureau. If you're thinking about moving your financial assets out of a 401k, IRA, or savings account, our friends at Allegiance Gold will make it simple, and they're going to make sure that every question, every concern you have is answered before you make that move. All you got to do is give them a call. The call is free, 844-790-9191, 844-790-9191. And while you've got them on the phone, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments. You heard that right. $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. They can help you make the move before the next reset, which we all feel like is coming. We all can kind of see it on the horizon. So make the move with our friends at Allegiance Gold. Go to protectwithowen.com, protectwithowen.com to learn more about Allegiance Gold and to start the process, protectwithowen.com, or give them a call, 844-790-9191. Protect your wealth because no one else will.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
No, que stop this. No, que stop this. No te saltes. 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 No te saltes.
extra-dimensional, and multi-universal. Here's your host, Owen Schroyer.
All right, third and final hour here of the Owen Report. Before I get into the rest of today's news and our super chats, guys, what has happened to Dan Bongino? Now, I say this a little facetiously because I'm actually going to answer my own question, but I'm genuinely curious. Does he still do his show? I haven't heard a peep. I haven't heard a murmur. There hasn't been a ripple from Dan Bongino or anything about the Dan Bongino show for months. For months. And the only time that we have heard from or about Bongino since his departure is when he's attacking the original Trump supporters, when he's attacking conservatives and principled right-wingers. That's the only time you ever hear a murmur. And so what has happened? What is the level of the fallout right now of Dan Bongino? And I don't ask facetiously. I mean, I would assume he's doing his show, but I haven't heard anything about his show or from him in so long. I actually am surprised that if he is doing the show, there must be nobody tuning in because you don't see or hear anything about it. Everybody gets clips up on X. Everybody gets clips all over the internet. Even a show that's as small as mine in comparison. And yet, I don't know. I'm curious what the status of the Bongino show is. And look, this isn't even meant to dunk on Bongino because, you know, I look at the Bongino rise and fall, and I think it is so telling. I think that it's even a parallel of a lot of things happening in American politics just in a condensed window of time. Because here's Dan Bongino that what? I mean, we're talking short, just 4 years ago, was at the top of right-wing politics in media. I mean, this guy was at the peak. He had his show on Fox News. He had just signed his deal with Cumulus Radio. He had his own show on Rumble as an investor. I mean, Bongino was at the top of the mountain. Dan Bongino was sitting at the top of the right-wing media mountain having a cup of tea. And to his credit, you might say, he gave it all up to go work for the Trump administration. But when he left, I mean, he's sipping tea at the top. Dan Bongino had a cup of coffee at the top of the right-wing media. And now where is he? I mean, is it fair to say it's totally irrelevant now? Again, this is not meant to dunk on Dan Bongino. Just to be clear, this is not a personal attack on Dan Bongino. I'm using this as an example, and I think that it fits. It's kind of to a certain level where the boomer political ideology is at. It's like Trump was the peak, and now it's crashing down, and it'll all be irrelevant very shortly. So Bongino is kind of like a condensed window of that, obviously. It's not like he's been a member of the media for decades, but he's been around, and he had a namesake, and he reached the top. But to me, that's what it is. The rise and fall of Dan Bongino is a condensed window of boomer political perspectives. Trump is the peak of the boomer political ideology, And after Trump, it's going to crash. It will be gone. But that is, it really is a phenomenon. And I think it expresses the fact that the administration is really not delivering anywhere. Because if Dan Bongino left the top of the mountain and then came back with scalps, with receipts, he'd be still at the top of the mountain. If Dan Bongino, the champion, and he left and came back and he was still the champion, he would be at the top of the mountain. And the fact that it's like, I don't even know if he's on the mountain anymore, that to me is the true story of the success of this administration. And it's unfair to put that on Bongino's shoulders. I just think there's a distinctive parallel. And the fact that Bongino, for somebody, for me, that consumes 8 hours of political media a day, I mean, 10, 12? And I don't see Bongino anywhere. Nowhere. You'd think there'd be a blip, and there's nothing. To me, that's the indicator. There is no success. If there was success, Bongino would have left the mountaintop and then came back to the mountaintop with all of the spoils of success, and he'd still be on the mountaintop today. But there are no spoils of success because there is no success, and now there's no Bongino at the top of the mountain. And to me, that is where we're at politically with the Trump administration and with the boomer political ideology that is so expired. We're just waiting for this whole thing to crash. So I don't know the story about Bongino, but I do think that there is a story there as far as it mirrors, I think, where we're at right now with this Trump administration, and then larger, the entire political perspective in the United States. So again, I don't say that. I don't know what's wrong. Is Bongino doing his show? Is he okay? I don't know. But I don't see or hear anything about him anymore. All right, let's go back to the rest of the news here. Here's a good one. This is nice to see. I hope something actually happens here. Justice Department launches a criminal investigation into Trump accuser E. Jean Carroll. Oh, this is great. Finally, the Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll, a former magazine columnist, who accused President Trump of sexual assault. By the way, that whole case was so strange, where they basically admitted she lied about the whole thing, but then they let her win anyway. I don't want to relitigate the case. Now, here's what's going to be interesting. I hope the Trump administration is serious about this. I hope that this is not just red meat, and I hope this isn't another false start like we saw with Comey and with Letitia James. And unfortunately for E. Jean Carroll, she was probably too stupid to realize the implications of what she was getting involved in here. Now, this is why I think this is important, not just because it's like, hey, it's about time they go after the radical left in this country. It's about time we get a little justice against all the people that really, I think, committed crimes against the country. It's about time. So I hope this is a trend. I'm not betting on it, but I'll hope it. But here's why I think this is important. Now, does anybody actually believe that Trump raped E. Jean Carroll? Does anybody actually believe that? Now, aside from the political implications, this is something that is long overdue. And if this is all we get out of it, it would be a positive thing. There needs to be a precedent, a legal precedent in this country. And if there's some way to extrapolate this to other charges, then that's fine. But in the specific case of women charging men with sexual crimes or specifically rape, if you are going to falsely accuse a man, and we can prove, and that's where it gets a little hairy, but you should be allowed the opportunity as a defendant that if you can prove that a woman is making a false claim about you and a sex crime, then that accuser, that woman, should then face the same penalty that you would have faced if you were found guilty. That is long overdue. And in a justice system that, quite frankly, is rigged against men, that's just the fact. A justice system that is rigged against men, it'd be nice to see a little something here. It'd be nice for men to get a little protection here. I would love to see not just the Justice Department go all the way with this investigation. I'd love to see some options explored by Trump's legal team to set a legal precedent that says, here's the deal. In this country, if you, and again, this can go either way if a man makes a false accusation, or if you want to find some way to apply this to other false accusations, which there are some precedents, like a Jussie Smollett, false police report. There are some other precedents, but not in cases like this. I want to see the Trump legal team find a way to set a precedent. You cannot falsely accuse a man of a sexual crime or rape and get away with it. You can't do this anymore. Because even if the man is able to beat the charges, like Trump, it doesn't stop the reputational damage. And there's so many other consequences just from being charged, just from a false accusation. There's so many consequences that come along with it. No, you should not be allowed to do that. Trump's legal team needs to explore the options here and try to fight for a precedent. I would be loud about it too. I would be loud. And if you want to get political on it, Trump, he has lost so much support from young men. Men under 40 is where Trump has lost probably more support than any other group, any other demographic. Men under 40, Trump has lost the most since he got elected. If you want to win some of that back, set a legal precedent for men that if they're falsely accused of rape, that woman is going to jail. That woman is going to jail for the same amount of time that you would have gone to jail for. And it's kind of perfect that you have Stephen Miller in the administration, because Stephen Miller was a law student at Duke University when the whole lacrosse scandal took off. And Stephen Miller was famous at that time because he was standing in defense of the Duke lacrosse team. And I remember, just because I was in sports media, there were these videos, these interviews of Stephen Miller where he was defending the Duke lacrosse team, and the attacks against Stephen Miller at that time were crazy that he would dare do that. And then, of course, he ended up being right. So you kind of already got a guy in there that knows the way around this. You got Trump, who I think, maybe it's an assumption, but a fair one, who knows he didn't rape this woman. And yet she makes the accusation, and it's a false accusation. And now you got the DOJ investigating it. Now you've got the opportunity with your legal team to set a precedent to protect men here. You might win back some of those men. You might win back a lot of those young men that you've lost along the way. But it needs to be done. I mean, it's just ridiculous. How many people know about the Trevor Bauer story? His life was ruined. His life was ruined. He's still dealing with those results. So that's what I would do if I was Trump's legal team. And if I'm Trump and I'm looking at it from a raw political perspective, I'd say, hey, this is a good way for us to win back some of those young men. But there you go, E. Jean Carroll being investigated. I mean, seems to be totally false accusations that she made, and that it can't be allowed in this country. Can't be allowed. All right, so there's a digital influence campaign happening here. I believe it's a digital influence campaign. And you got a lot of this coming from the Trump administration, and I'll explain why I think it's a digital influence campaign. But you're seeing in the media now about Trump cleaning up Washington, D.C., which there's no doubt is happening. The crime rates are down, and, a lot of the filth and decay in some of the more scenic sites of D.C. is definitely being cleaned up. Now, I will say I get a little frustrated when I see some of the people that are running with this propaganda, and I'll explain why I call it propaganda, and they're putting up images of the Free Palestine protests that happened when they were defacing a lot of this property. Well, that happened during Trump's years too. So to act like that only happened during the Biden years is just dishonest. In fact, it was the worst ever in 2020 when Trump was president with BLM. So I find it a little dishonest when they're sharing videos of defaced property during the Biden administration when it was the Trump administration where we actually saw that worse than ever. Now, having said that, it is true. Washington, D.C. is cleaner and safer under President Trump's second administration. That is an undeniable fact. And I think we should all celebrate that. And I think that is great. I think it's sad that we are in a place right now politically that we think it's a major victory that we have a border. That's how down bad we are. And this is really, if you're arguing that the Trump administration has been successful, this is really all you have. We have a border and DC is clean again. That's it. It's like, that's our standard now. It's like, yikes. It's like, hey, okay, yeah, we have a border. Yeah, I lock my door at night. Like, should I celebrate every night when I lock my door? It's like, hey, DC is clean again. It's like, hey, great, wonderful. DC is clean again. Should I pop a bottle when I vacuum my house later? When I dust my entertainment system, should I have a birthday cake too? Should I celebrate that? I mean, it just shows it's really quite pathetic that all we can do here, and I've had the debates, really all MAGA can hang their hat on is we have a border and DC is clean. Like, that is the lowest standard possible. And we're pretending like this is some sort of a great accomplishment. And it's like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. Thank you, Trump. Like, what? You vacuumed your house? You dusted your TV? You locked your door? That's our standard now? That's like superior politics now, is we have a border and we have a clean city? It's like, wow. So, okay, it's good, but if that's your standard for success, then you're not going to accomplish much success. But I think there's definitely a digital influence campaign happening here. And when you search this, because it was all over X today, and I just searched Trump cleaned DC, I have it pulled up here. And you can see you can see all the normal people that promote the Trump slop all sharing the same videos. And I have to ask, where did they get these videos? Did they get them from the Trump administration? Did the Trump administration send out a memo to start promoting this stuff? Because they're all sharing the same videos. They're all using the same script. It could be organic, but I don't know. I'm not that naive. And, they need some good press right now. So now there's more on the reflecting pool. Reflecting pool contract has inflated profit margin. Government analysis finds the firm that was given a no-bid contract to fix the troubled landmark is charging 20%. The typical profit margin is 6 to 12%, initial records show. Well, I can get back to this in a second if I need to. Here's some of the numbers. Let me put a couple of these numbers on the screen with quotes. These are the quotes from Trump, by the way. Trump, I have a contractor that built my pools, did an Olympic pool at my clubs. He can do the reflecting pool for $1.3 million in less than 2 weeks. We're now 6 weeks after that claim, and the budget is $13.4 million, not $1.3 million. And now Trump says, I don't know the contractor. I've never used him before. So was Trump lying then, or is he lying now? I don't even think you can say it. He just says crap. I mean, you have to understand, if you haven't accepted this reality of Trump, then you're just not living in reality. Trump just says crap. He just says crap. That's what he does. He just makes crap up. I don't even know if it's fair to say he lies, because it's not even like he's consciously lying. He just makes stuff up. It's just like, oh, I'm just going to say crap. So I think that that's probably where you can put this. But here's what happened. The National Park Service is ending up responsible for this, and that's probably standard since this is a monument. So the National Park Service, whenever Trump said, "Hey, here's the contractor, here's the cost, 2 weeks, whatever," they said okay, and they followed through, and it ended up now we're 6 weeks in, and you're at a $13 million plus budget. More than 10 times what Trump said it would cost, and now 4 times as long as it would take, and it's not even done yet. And now you've got lawsuits and all kinds of stuff holding it up. So what happened was the National Park Service, after Trump said, this is the guy, this is the price, this is the timeline, they had to do, of course, their own, analyzing. They had to do their own budgeting and analyzing and everything. And they found out everything Trump said was just total BS, just complete and total BS. And now the company is charging at a 20% profit margin and not, as they claim, a 6 to 12% standard. So that's a Trump friend, I'm guessing, taking advantage of that. But this whole thing is it's just another mess. It's just another mess. And, well, you know what? Maybe let me jump forward here. Did I end up? I guess I did not end up having this. Well, we covered it yesterday. It's like, yeah, they're cleaning up DC, but you also have a disaster at the reflecting pool, and you have a disaster at the east wing of the White House, and now you've got a giant UFC arena being built on the White House lawn. So, just, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's all crazy. Speaking of crazy, Fed seized $4 million in gold bars, cash, and Rolexes from former CIA official who faked being a Navy pilot. David J. Rush allegedly claimed $6 million in gold bars and foreign currency were for work-related expenses. What? Did he have more gold than Fort Knox? A former CIA official with a top secret security clearance was arrested at the FBI after the FBI raided his Virginia home and discovered a staggering $40 million stash of gold bars, $2 million in cash, and 35 luxury watches. Now, this is draining the swamp. Thank you. That's swamp. CIA, top CIA, 40 million in gold bars. Yeah, okay. Here's your swamp. I wonder what he knows. After a CIA internal investigation identified potential violations of the law, CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred the information to the FBI for a law enforcement investigation. The CIA and FBI wrote in a joint statement, "The FBI is working closely with our partners at the CIA and Department of Justice as we continue to investigate this matter fully. We are committed to following the facts, ensuring accountability, and pursuing justice in accordance with the law." Now, let me say this, too. As crazy as this story is, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way, I want to be able to take this at face value, and that's how I'm taking it right now. That's how I'm going to cover it. I'm going to just take it at face value for now. And I'm going to say, this is that's a swamp creature. That's draining the swamp right there. Like, he's not the only one. And it's not only at the CIA. So to me, I'm willing to, I'll take it at face value and say, thank you. This is what we voted for. That's draining the swamp. Now, my problem, and I'm sure a lot of people's problems listening to this, are similar in that it's just so hard to trust anything out of this administration. It's just so hard to take anything at face value or trust anything this administration is doing at this point. It's almost impossible. And That is a perfectly reasonable perspective on the Trump administration. Perfectly reasonable. After all the lies we were told from the campaign, after all the lies we've been told about these wars, just lies on top of lies, the Epstein files, everything else, taking anything from this administration at face value would actually be extremely foolish. So I will call myself a fool, but I want to believe this is good. I want to believe this is all above board. I want to believe we can take this at face value. I want to believe there's not some other shenanigans happening behind the scenes. I want to believe that. I want to believe that this is finally us getting the bad guys. I want to believe that. I'm going to report that. But how can you not? How can you not question everything out of this administration? Like it's like, well, why this guy? Is this the only guy? Are we going to have more guys? What's going on at the CIA? So it's tough. But we'll take it at face value. We'll call it a victory. We'll call it a celebration. And let's hope there's no shenanigans behind the scenes. Some other stuff happening behind the scenes that led to this. But you can't blame people for thinking that. You really can't. Not after everything we've seen the last 2 years. Gold bars, millions in cash. Yeah, that's about as swamp as it gets. How do you even get that much? How do you even acquire such a large amount of gold bars? I want to know, was he at Fort Knox? I want to know, did he have more gold than Fort Knox? The benefits of the job at the CIA, he says. The benefits of the job. All right, we got some big AI data center news here now. Let's go through this. Anthropic, Mythos, this is their new AI. Mythos detected 23,000 potential vulnerabilities across 1,000 OSS projects. It's like, okay, I'm speaking a foreign language here. Many findings have been confirmed to be critical or high severity vulnerabilities, and the number will continue to increase. All right, so this is a little tech wonky for you from Security Week. So let's try some other headlines. So it's having problems. Anthropic to roll out Claude Mythos in coming weeks, launches Opus 4.8. Anthropic's Claude Mythos AI model nearing release after raising cybersecurity alarms. Anthropic signaled that broader access to its controversial Claude Mythos AI models may arrive in the coming weeks after limited testing. And the testing raised alarms. Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.8 is here with 3 times cheaper fast mode and near Mythos level alignment. All right, let me put this all together. This goes back to what we opened the show with. I think these AI developers have realized that AI is getting less and less popular. And they realize that there might be more regulation and more taxation of AI in the very near future. Now, there's a lot of internal regulation, and there is somewhat of an oversight. Not honestly, not much, but there is some oversight. And there ought to be, considering the potential negative ramifications of AI. But these AI companies are now looking at ways to bypass any and all of these concerns to get to a final destination as quickly as possible, because they are anticipating in the very near future more regulation, more taxation, and it's going to be harder and harder for these AI companies to develop and expand their AI capabilities in the near future. And so they're trying to get it all done right now. Now, that could be potentially dangerous, obviously. I don't think I have to explain why. But that could be potentially dangerous. And it looks like this is kind of the first example where it's like, yeah, we're going to cut our testing down from what we normally do. We're going to limit our testing. We're going to ignore all of these issues. We got to push pedal to the metal because who knows, in a couple of months, we might not be able to do any of this. So they know that the public is having concerns. They know that the government is starting to have concerns. And they know that after the midterms that these concerns might result in policy that could stymie the AI development. So I anticipate other AI now, other companies, after seeing Claude and Mythos do this, they're going to follow suit and they're going to say, well, now we're behind. If the AI industry is not going to maintain all the same testing standards and concerns and oversight, then all of them are going to say, well, screw it. I'm not going to let Claude have the advantage. So this is heading in a dangerous direction fast. Now, I will say the other thing that might be a positive, and if you look at AI and compare it to some of the other tech, I don't know if you could say there's any similar tech, but just, technology generally speaking, they're claiming, and again, is this true or is this them trying to work a new narrative now that they see the public concerns? But they're basically now saying that they're getting closer to finding a way to start building artificial intelligence and the processing of it, the operating systems, and they're basically claiming they're finding a way to make them more efficient, is what they're claiming. Now, this happens with most technology, TVs, computers. We've all kind of witnessed this. So I don't think it would be too far-fetched to believe the same natural process could happen with AI. I don't know if that's true right now, though. I don't know if they're just claiming that they're making it more efficient because they see the negative headlines and the public awareness, or if they're actually starting to develop a more efficient tech here because that's just part of the advancement of technology. But one individual who's very much connected to this industry, Peter Thiel, he seems to have his own issues, his own concerns. Peter Thiel secures Argentine estate, signaling Silicon Valley's quest for sovereign escapes. Billionaire Peter Thiel has purchased a luxury estate in Argentina, meeting with President Milei as a part of a strategic escape from U.S. regulatory pressures. So are they escaping for political reasons? Are they escaping for technological reasons, for safety reasons, for concerns? Is this more of them concerned that the U.S. government is about to put a major stall on the development of AI, so they're looking for other countries who won't be as regulated? Or is this more of the world elite going into their bunkers because the whole thing's about to collapse? Why Peter Thiel is decamping to the end of the world. The billionaire's new roots in Argentina are said to be partly motivated by concerns about the future of the United States and shared beliefs with Argentina's right-wing leader. That would be obviously Milei. Okay, going to Argentina. I don't think he's going there for the women. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going there for the women. Now, outside of the Democrats, do you hear too many people raising the concerns with AI? There are voices in the Republican Party, but it's few and far between. It's against the grain at this point. Now, I think that's a winning political issue for the Democrats, and the Republicans are going to give it to them, but we all know why. The two priorities of the Trump administration are Israel and turning the United States into an AI data center. So the Republicans can't go against Trump on that. At least they're not willing to yet. But what about our leaders? I mean, are we really going to let Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and AOC be the leading voices of concern for AI and humanity? Really? Really, conservatives? Really, Christians? That's where we're at? I don't like that. Doesn't make sense to me. That tells me that's your Trump loyalty telling you to shut up. That's what it tells me. Here's Vladimir Putin. Tell me, you think Trump would ever say anything like this?
Diseases. The labor market is being reformed. There's a situation when millions of people are about to lose their jobs or will be forced to change their areas of employment. Whole professions might go extinct, replaced, when humans will be replaced by artificial intelligence. A number of areas related to automation, preparing and analyzing documents, writing code, AI is already replacing junior specialists. And in the near future, it looks well poised to replace middle personnel. This process is irreversible and inevitable. Progress is not standing still. And we must be ready for upcoming changes. Better still, we must use them as drivers of accelerated economic growth. Diseases.
So you won't hear it presented like that from the White House because that could be interpreted as a negative connotation of AI. But yet now you see everybody's kind of putting their chips on the table. And we talked about it yesterday. There's really only 3 places on the AI issue to throw your chips down. And that's the middle, which I think Putin is kind of playing the middle here, like Elon Musk, which is, yeah, AI, robotics, automation, this is all happening. It's all inevitable, but it will be used to empower humanity, or we need to use it to empower humanity. That's kind of the middle ground. You have the alarmist ground, which is AI is going to replace humanity. It's going to destroy the economy. And we are building the only entity, the only thing that could replace humans as the dominant species on this planet. We're building the system for our own demise. You can throw your chips down. That's the alarmist side. And then there's the side that you see the Trump administration and all of its donors and voice boxes, which is AI is great. It's great for the economy. It's great for everybody. It's going to be great. Everything's great. It's the best thing ever. And if you're standing in the way of it, you're the bad guy. There's really only 3 places to land on this issue. And I think you're going to start seeing it. Eventually, everybody's going to have to decide where they stand on this. Eventually, everybody's going to have to decide where they stand on this. But we're already seeing the signs. The Democrats are going to get vocal, and I think they're on the winning side of this issue. And you know, don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. This is just the reality of the situation. This is just the political play-by-play right now. Americans are concerned about AI. They are, and rightfully so. They're concerned about AI, and they're also already extremely sick of data centers. They're very down on data centers. So they're concerned about AI, and they're very negative on data centers. These are 2 things that are just losing political issues in America right now. So, you know, I don't want to hear from the right wing about why you need to like it or all this other stuff. Stop it. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. It's not popular. It's not a winning issue. That's the point. And you just can't. You're not going to win this debate. You're not going to change people's minds on this. It's just not going to happen. It's a losing issue. It's going to be a losing issue politically. And, you know, aside from the politics, it's sad that that's what kind of dominates the thought process here and even the decision-making process. But aside from that, where are the people at the table saying, hey, do we really want to do this? Do we really want to build the only thing that could end human domain on this planet? Do we really want to build the only thing that could become superior to the human species on this planet? Like, do we really want to do this? Are we sure we want to do this? Can we even potentially measure the actual implications here, aside from looking at, you know, dystopian sci-fi movies like The Terminator? But it's like, is that not real? Is that not a potential here? Are we talking about this? I just don't know why we aren't having these conversations. I mean, the implications of this are probably bigger than anything I think we've ever dealt with. Honestly, I think as far as we know in recorded human history that we have access to, I think the implications of artificial intelligence, I don't think there is any singular thing with more heavy and concerning and dangerous implications. I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and spend an hour going down all the different negative potentials here, but anybody can kind of do that. Anybody can sit here and put 2 and 2 together and get 4. So I just think it's really, and it really shows how disconnected we are. I think it shows how disconnected we are as a civilization, and maybe even to an extent how disconnected we are from our own humanity, our own human nature, and our own connection with this planet. So I get it. I get it politically. The donors, big tech, they've got all the money in the world. They can buy the government. They can buy the media. They can shut it all up. That's all happening. But it's like, okay, you're a human too. It's like, okay, we got, politics, and then we have humanity here. We have civilization here. Are we concerned about this at all, or are we really just thinking about money and power? I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough being done to resist this. And that concerns me. And then you have to look at that and say, is that worth supporting Democrats over? That's a serious question. That is a very reasonable question. You could vote Republican your entire life. You could never vote Democrat. And by the way, I've never voted Democrat. I would never imagine myself voting Democrat. But I got to tell you, folks, I don't think it matters as far as foreign policy. Don't get me wrong. The Democrats will run against AIPAC and they'll run against Israel, but you're probably going to get the same foreign policy even if Democrats win. So I don't think it's worth flipping and voting for Democrats because of foreign policy. You're going to get the same foreign policy. The same foreign lobbyists own the Democrats too. So I don't view it, I understand the concept of a spite vote against the Republicans. I understand the concept of burning the Republican Party as it stands to the ground politically so that we can replace it with something that's actually conservative and actually American first. I get those concepts. I don't know if those concepts move me to vote Democrat. They probably don't at this point. But I will say, if there is one issue that would make me vote Democrat, it is AI and data centers. That is probably the only issue. And I think you could make a very reasonable case that it is the most important issue of our time. I don't even think it's that difficult of a case to make, actually. I think it's a pretty easily understandable case. I think it's a pretty apparent case, actually. And so I would argue right now, the only issue that I've ever seen, it's not going to be foreign policy. It's not going to be middle finger to the Republicans. The only issue that would make me vote Democrat is if they really take a serious stand against AI and data centers. I think that would make me vote Democrat. I'm 100% dead serious. Nothing else. Nothing else would do it. And I get it. I can already hear all the responses. It's like, oh, you want Democrats to do this? You want the Democrats to do that? The Democrats this, the Democrats that. Listen to what I'm saying. The Democrats this, the Republicans that. Hello? Wake up. They're all corrupt. It's a uniparty here. The most important issue of our time, the most important issue for the future of Americans, for future generations, for our children, our grandchildren, the most important issue is AI. It is. The implications, the negative implications, the potential implications of AI and what it's going to do to humanity, our planet, our civilization, are 100 times bigger than probably anything else on the table. The only thing you can even put next to it would be nuclear war. That's it. That's the only thing. And I don't really think voting Republican or Democrat, I'm not really sure that that changes the possibility of nuclear war. I don't think it flips any odds there. I think that remains the same no matter who's in power. And I mean, it's like, there's no point in me presenting it like, hey, warning to the Republican Party, because that doesn't hit. But I mean, that is kind of where it's at. It's like, hey, guys, listen. You are going to lose on this issue badly. You might be able to beat the Israel issue. You might be able to power through the whole Israel issue in these midterms and maybe one more election cycle. You might have a couple more election cycles to stick on the Israel issue and to think that Israel's the winning side of things. You might have one or two election cycles. Maybe. And that's debatable. This could be the last one on the Israel issue, and every election cycle after this is going to be anti-Israel. But as far as AI is concerned, this is the moment right now. This is the moment where we will look back on in 10, 20, 50 years, and if this thing goes bad, say, we blew it. We blew it. And we'll have to look in our children's eyes and look in our grandchildren's eyes and have to explain to them and apologize to them that we just turned our planet over to an automated AI robotics technocracy, and why they don't get to experience civilization and humanity and planet Earth like we did. And instead they're slaves to a technocracy, and their entire life rationed from the day they're born to the day they die in a pod. This is that moment right now. This is that pivotal moment where we decide as humans and as sovereign citizens in the United States, do we want agency over our future? Do we want to risk giving up everything humanity has built to this day? Do we want to give up turning over the reins of civilization to robots? This is our moment right now to make that decision. And if the Democrats are going to stand vocally and have a serious political opposition to AI and turning America into an AI data center surveillance state, yes, that is the one issue I will flip and I will vote Democrats on. I will tell you that today. And I will also say it is an issue for me as a broadcaster that I will absolutely carry the torch on. Absolutely. I don't want to hear about your left, right. I don't want to hear about your Democrat and Republican. I don't want to hear about it. They both suck. Don't bring that to me. We're talking about the future of human civilization on planet Earth. We're talking about building the one thing that could end our domain over this planet. That's what we're talking about. That's the reality of the situation. Don't tell me about Republican this, Democrat that. Don't tell me about radical left this, right wing that. I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me that. I, as an American, I, as a human, I, as a Christian, I, as a man, 100% will die on this hill. 100%. So let's see how committed the Democrats really are to stand against AI. Let's see how committed the Democrats really are to stand against turning America into an AI data center surveillance state. Let's see. Let's see. Because I'm still not ready to go vote Democrat. I'm still not ready to come out here and say I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm not there. But I will say to conclude it, that is the one issue that would flip me. That is it. That is the one issue. If I turn into a single issue voter, it will be over AI and doing anything for the sake of future generations of Americans, for the sake of my lineage. I will do anything to stop them from turning America into an AI data center surveillance state. I will do anything to stop them from ending human domain over this planet. I will stop anything to stop this corrupt government from turning over the future of my children into a technocratic slavery future. That's the stand. That's the hill to die on. That's everything right now. So we'll see what happens here, but I'm telling you right now, and that is something that is something that will flip. That is something where you will take people in the middle. That is something where you will win hearts and minds. 100%. That is a hearts and minds winning issue. That is a we are flipping seats issue. AI and data centers and America as a surveillance state. That could be the issue, folks. That could be the issue that flips everything. And I'm definitely going to be on the right side of that issue. I don't care what color the vote is. I don't care what letter is behind the representative. I'm not turning my country. I'm not turning the future generations of Americans in my family. I'm not going to give them an AI data center surveillance state. I'm not turning that over to future generations willingly. Not happening here. We've already lost so damn much. We have already lost so damn much of what we got growing up, of what we got to experience growing up in America. We've already lost way too much to sit here and burn it all to the ground and give it all to AI. Not happening here. Not happening here. And okay, a couple more stories on this. Apparently, they're already propagandizing the youth on this issue in the schools. Listen to this.
I live in the data center capital of the world, and I think it's like some weird stuff happens. Like most recently, all of the data centers got together and they sponsored these like Memorial Day kits in a lot of the elementary schools. So like kids got to make these little coloring these little flags. Lovely, great. They got like a little activity book from the Flags of Valor, and then we got this like lovely propaganda piece about data centers and what they are and how great they are. And did you know they're in the community? And did you know that there's jobs from them? But yeah, let's have companies like this come in and distribute whatever the heck they want. They just give them free access to the kids, give them free access to send home anything they want. I'm just like, am I in the wrong here? This is crazy, right? Like the data center companies should not be sponsoring Memorial Day. The two things have nothing in common. Data centers do not have anything in common with honoring the soldiers that have lost their lives defending and serving this country. What in the world was this?
You know, there's a realization. Many have had the realization. Many are starting to come closer to the realization that the education system of this country, the textbooks, the public school system, it's literally just propaganda. That's it. Yeah. Your history textbooks are propaganda. And so if you see this and you say, hey, why is there this strange corporate sponsorship for children's literature to propagandize them into supporting data centers? Folks, if you think that's the first time your children have been propagandized by school literature, you got a whole nother world to wake up to. I mean, history is the worst, but it's fair to say that your entire history book is mostly propaganda. like almost exclusively the history textbooks and lessons in the public school system in this country are pure propaganda. So this is really nothing new. It's just now it's so blatant and obvious and outside of the lines that people might actually start to realize that, oh, you mean we send our kids to school to be propagandized by corporate and special and foreign interests? Yep, that's it. That's exactly it. I won't even go into the whole textbook thing. I won't even go to the whole Maxwell family textbook. That's the whole thing. And now I was debating, I was 50-50 on even covering this, but it's going so viral now, I felt that I had to. So this is an individual. He goes by, I think it's like Homer 4000 or something on Instagram. And apparently he has a piece of property that a land acquisition company is trying to purchase so that they can put a data center on it. And he's been kind of doing these day-by-day updates about how the data center is engaging in all kinds of weird behavior, pressure techniques, potential threat mechanisms, gifts. The whole thing is very weird. So here's this guy documenting the land acquisition company harassing him to try to get this land for the data center. Watch this.
So it's 6 in the morning. I got a text at like 5 in the morning from the realtor or the guy that wants to buy the property. And it's super weird. He's super weird dude now, honestly. He said, I left you and your daughters a gift at the front of your property on the Rock Gabion area. And I haven't went over there. I'm going to cook breakfast first, but I haven't went over there. And I was like, what in the world? Like, who does this? Who says this? Who gives gifts? Like, weird.
All right, for the sake of time here, I'm not going to play the rest of the videos, but he goes and shows the gifts. He basically insinuates that these gifts are so personal that whoever it is that's giving him these gifts, like, they know about his personal life. They know about what he needs. It's like, oh, you gave me a gift card for what I need? The whole thing is weird. And again, I'm like, I don't know. Some random guy reporting this stuff. It's hard to run a spot check to make sure it's not, some grift or whatever. But the thing is going viral. Everyone's picking it up. I imagine at some point he's going to pop up in the media somewhere, and we can get an idea of just, how legitimate this really is. And I'm not even doubting that it's real. I've heard other stories as well that kind of pop up here or there where they're trying to acquire land to build these data centers, and they have gifts and intimidation and threats. And that's nothing new in politics either, or, land acquisitions. But I just think that we're not in the proper mindset for how serious this issue is, guys. We're not. And it's easy to understand why, with the great distraction of the Golden Toad and the White House, Donald Trump, and, all the different craziness that he engages in, and then the media running laps around him and all the gravity of it all. And it's like, okay, we're all kind of distracted by everything in DC right now and this cult of personality and everything else. And now there's another war and everything. And we're not covering this properly. And I try to do my best. I try to do my best to lay out the serious implications of this and everything that's happening surrounding it. And it's just, I can't even really do it justice. I don't know if anybody can. So I just think it goes back to my conclusion, which is they're pedal to the metal on this, guys. They are pedal to the metal on this, and they feel it's a necessity before there's any new regulation or taxation or anything else. And it's the agenda of the Trump administration to do this because big tech bought him, and that's why he promotes Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg now. And if we don't get this thing right, I think we know how wrong this deal can get fast.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, a little bonus time. What time do we got tip tonight, guys? We got a tip off tonight. I don't know how much I like the Spurs, but I got them tonight. I got them tonight. I got them to cover. I couldn't help it. I think it's going 7 games. I'm pulling for them. What time's tip anyway? I got other stuff we got to cover here, guys. All right, a little bonus time here. A couple other stories, a couple other odds and ends, and then we will get into your super chats. Laura Loomer. Every day Laura is not institutionalized is a day humanity is failing her. A day her friends and family are failing her. Every day Laura Loomer is not put in a mental institution. Humanity and her friends and family are failing her. So people found this clip. I believe the belief is from 2004, and it's in her new studio. And I think her new studio, she built it in 2024. So I think it's from 2024. But after everything we've seen from Laura Loomer in the last 12 months or so, listening to this video of Laura from a couple years ago really hits differently.
Yeah, it's always the Jews, right? And I'm going to say that. It is always the Jews. It is. And I say that as a Jew myself. I don't understand why the rich Jews of this country are so hell-bent on trying to destroy our country. But for some reason, so many rich Jews have a fixation on trying to destroy America. And it's not an anti-Semitic statement to make. I say that as a Jew myself, okay? I am very pro-Israel. I am a self-identifying Zionist, and I am not hateful towards Jewish people. But I will say as a Jew, the Jews' worst enemy is the Jew themselves. And I am really sick and tired of watching all of these Jews with large amounts of money in our country donate to fund the destruction of our nation and the communist takeover of America. So, okay, listen up, Jews. Yeah, it's always the Jews, right? And I'm going to say that. It is always the Jews.
I don't even know if he knows what the hell's going on.
Oh my God!
Whoa! Whoa! I'll just move on. What else do we have here? Oh, I love this. This guy, I don't know, maybe his name will pop up here. I've never seen this guy before. Maybe I have. This guy does a funny little skit here on what it's like buying a house and all the different parties that get involved. This one is for the if you're watching the show today. If you're listening, you might not understand it. You're missing a little context. But here's a guy trying to buy a house and then having a conversation with the banks, the real estate agents, and everybody else. And I think it sums up the process pretty well.
Great news. You're never going to have enough money to buy a home. How is this good news for me? It's great news for us because we get to charge you money for the next 30 years. That's even worse. By the time you're done paying off this loan, that house will have cost you more than twice what the house is worth. How does it keep getting worse? We're not done. You have to buy the house through this guy. I'm the gatekeeper to every house because I took 1 week of classes. And he has no discernible skills. Not true. I open the door, tell you everything you already know from the Zillow listing, and then take 6% off the sale price. I'll just buy a house directly from someone who's selling one. That's not how it works! Yeah, bad! The seller has a realtor, and you need an agent to talk to me because I don't talk to peasants! I heard I can make easy money with no skills, so I came right over. This is way better than scalping Pokemon cards. Why are there so many people here? Because I'm getting you the best price. For me, that is, I make more money the higher the sale price is. Oh, me too. I want more free money. Me three. I can charge you more interest on a higher loan. Literally no one has any incentive to save you money. Free money for everyone! Hooray! Hooray! Everybody's winning! I get free money all around. We don't need to change just the system is absolutely perfect here.
That's good stuff. I think it sums it up quite nicely, too. I think it sums it up quite nicely. Doesn't really offer a solution, but, well, maybe for a second there. Representative Eric Burleson with an interesting post today. 77,000 pages of JFK records just had their redactions removed. None of it strengthens the lone gunman story. 2 FBI reports on Oswald sat on James Angleton's desk a week before the assassination. Either the CIA was incompetent or worse. Either way, the American people deserve every page. Who shot JFK? And who ordered the shot? I think those are the two important questions that we obviously don't have the truth on. Who shot JFK and who ordered the shot? And then the follow-up would be how many different institutions, media, government alike, were a part willingly of the cover-up. Hey, guys, listen. More negative side effects of Ozempic being reported here. Ozempic may be reshaping the brain, scientists say. GLP-1 drugs may be rewiring circuits involved not only in appetite, but in emotion, desire, and beyond. Now, I don't want to get too much into this. I do want to say a couple things about this because I obviously I care about health, and I want you to care about health, and I want you to be healthy too. As far as these new drugs like Ozempic are concerned, I would say avoid at all costs, honestly. There might be situations where maybe you don't have another option for whatever your circumstances are. Anything outside of that, I would avoid these things at all cost. Honestly, I would. There's so many different ways to lose weight and do it in a way that's not unhealthy. So many different ways. Now, there are other ways to even kind of replicate the GLP-1 process like they do synthetically with these drugs. You can find more natural options that kind of mimic it that are out there. But I would just say, honestly, folks, if you're in a situation, and I've got friends that I've known that have had weight issues, and some of them have come out on the other side victorious, some have struggled, some have gone back into it. The most effective thing you can do, and this is just the truth. This is just obviously the truth. The most effective thing you can do is to just stop eating. Just stop. And you will lose weight so fast that way, obviously. And it sucks. You get hungry. You're starving. Everything that comes along with that, it sucks. But that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Of course, there's the hard work way. Get into the gym, run, exercise, do things that shred weight. There's even other surgical options that don't involve injecting these drugs. But there's just so much. I wonder, I don't think it's too far into the future. I don't think it's too far into the future where we start hearing about truly confirmed negative side effects of this stuff and maybe even class action lawsuits. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But I just want to encourage people, if you're in a situation where you're considering this stuff, please consider other options. Please consider other options for your own health, your own longevity. Please consider other options. And aside from, the trying to lose weight issue, the fasting stuff is really so incredible. I think I'm going to do one more before the official start of summer. I think it's like June 21st. I think I'll probably do one more. I've always kind of been an intermittent fasting person, but I've never really looked at it and said, okay, I'm doing this fast. In the month of May, I've done 2 24-hour fasts and 1 48-hour fast. And I'm telling you, it's crazy what it does to your body. It's really unreal. And the simplest way to put it is, when your body is not digesting 24/7, it's like any other machine. When it doesn't have to do that, all of a sudden, all these different mechanisms, all these different things that your body can do and your brain can tell it to do, all these other things start to kick in. And one of them just happens to be weight loss. Your body literally starts eating fat. It starts eating fat right off of you. Also, it starts producing testosterone and HGH with like every day. It's like every hour after hour 12, your HGH and testosterone output, it's like doubling. So lots of positive effects. I think I may even do one more before the summer. And then probably not think about it again for a couple months. But I do recommend it. I do recommend it. You know, the other thing too is I hated the cold plunge. Hated it. I am now to the point I can do a full body cold plunge for 60 seconds and really enjoy it. And if you would have told me that like 8 months ago when I first started trying it, I would have said, you're nuts. I would have said, you're nuts. But I will say, for a sore knee, sore elbow, whatever, man, does the cold plunge do magic. Really does. All right. New movie coming out, Disclosure Day. First reactions call Steven Spielberg's sci-fi epic his best film in 20 years and praise Emily Blunt's all-time performance. I'm an Emily Blunt fan. I don't know. I mean, all-time performance. I mean, I don't know if she's really had any world-shattering performances, but she does good. She's got a good range. They say it's her all-time performance. Looking good. She probably hit the Ozempic too. Disclosure Day, releasing June 12th. Does Odyssey come out too this year? This is going to be your big summer movie, probably Disclosure Day. And then they'll reveal the aliens right after that too. It'll be a nice little 1-2 punch, and then you won't know what's real and what's not. All right, I mentioned you got the Game 6 tonight between the Spurs and the Thunder. Do you guys remember I showed you these guys made a new game like the old kids game Operation where you try to pull the pieces of plastic, the plastic bones and organs or whatever out of the body, and if you touch the side, it bings. If you're older, you know about it. If you're a young guy, you might not. It's a game called Operation. They did a remake with SGA. It's a big play on how he flops all over the place and you can't touch him or you get called for a foul. And so now Shai Gilgeous-Alexander sends legal threat over unethical hoops board game, mocking his notorious flops. He's taking legal action. It's funny, though. Nobody's really analyzed it like they do with SGA. And the numbers are undeniable when it comes to free throws and the percentage of his points from free throws and his flopping percentage. He's off the charts. Nobody is even in the same league as him. And it's a very negative effect on the game of basketball. So we'll see what happens tonight. God, don't let the Thunder advance tonight. It'll be so bad. Not just for my own personal wagers, but just nobody wants to see it. But let me just say this too. You know, it's kind of getting missed from the conversation. This whole flopping thing and SGA, you know, this is the real issue as I see it. Obviously, you know, the flopping and the foul baiting, and, you know, that's what people see, and that's the issue. But the underlying issue is actually this. The old players, the Kobe Bryants, you know, that generation, the Michael Jordan, that generation, and I guess really most professional basketball players before like 2010, I think is I don't know if you can put a line on it. James Harden was kind of the first player that led this to becoming a league-wide phenomenon. Players used to have a modicum of respect, and players used to have a modicum of pride, and they knew when you are in the NBA playoffs, everybody is watching. When you are in the NBA playoffs, that is the main stage for basketball on planet Earth. That is the pinnacle of playing basketball, is the NBA playoffs. And so these guys, that meant something. It meant something because of the previous generation of NBA players, and it meant something because of the future generation of NBA players. And they had this awareness. That meant something. They would never even think about going out there on an NBA playoff stage and flopping around like a bitch. That's how it would be interpreted. If you were flopping around like this in the 90s consistently, especially in the playoffs, if you were flopping and foul baiting around like this in the 90s, the early 2000s, especially in the playoffs, you'd be considered a bitch. You'd be considered a bitch. And that's how you would be treated, by the way. That's how you'd be treated in the locker room. That's how you'd be treated by your fellow players. You'd be looked at like a disrespectful bitch. And that's what this really is. These players have no pride. They have no pride. They have no it seems like they have no connection to the game of the past. They have no concern about the game of the future. And you can see it. You can see it in the way they play and flop around and laugh about it like a bunch of school bitches. And it's translating. It's translating to younger kids. And it's just sad. It's just sad. I get it. It's a little sports slop. Whatever. Get over it. It's a little sports slop. But I think this actually expands beyond just the realm of sports. It's like, that's so much of what's wrong in our country. It's like, where is your sense of pride? It's like, people are watching you. Stop acting like a bitch. You're out here in public. Show a sense of pride. Show some dignity. You're embarrassing yourself. Everybody's watching you flop around like a fish. Where is your pride? Where is your dignity? They have none. They have none. All right, last thing here, guys. If you see something like this, so this is from, this was sent to me. This was found at the women's hockey website, the University of Minnesota, their women's hockey website. They have an advertisement here. I'm just going to read from the advertisement. It says, Jewish people, pro-humanity since 3,761 BC. And then it has a link. It says discover more and a little bug that says choose light. I'm guessing that's the group that paid for this ad. So obviously this is an ad that's not limited to the University of Minnesota's women's hockey team. I'm guessing this ad is many places, but that's where this person found it. What? We have advertisements for Jewish people. And do we have advertisements for anyone else? We see these ads now where they're trying to get black people and Jewish people to team up against white people. We've all seen that with the blue square. You've got this ad. Hey, it's an ad for Jewish people. Like, what even is that? What even is this? I'm sure that'll be good. That's the marketing you guys need. That's well played. That's just weird, man. That's just weird. All right, let's go into the super chats here. As we do at the end of every show, we go into our YouTube super chats. Thanks, everybody, for the chats and for tuning in today. A little extended bonus time. Vids of Doug, Owen Standard Time. Look, I've already explained the timing thing. The broadcast is at least, you can go into the waiting room by 3 o'clock every day. But sometimes we go on, a little late. To me, it's like a concert. It's like, the band set time might be 8 o'clock, but, they might not feel ready to go on till 8:10, 8:30. That's just how it goes. I don't want to rush this magic. This is magic, what's happening here. You can't rush this. You can't force this. It's got to feel right. It's got to be right. So I guess that's the Owen Standard Time. Dark Despair. The best thing I did today was go outside in bare feet, close my eyes, breathe deep, and listen to the birds chirp. I didn't give a damn about any of the BS going on in the world. Highly recommend. All right. Ironic coming from Dark Despair, but I like it. World War III already started. We just don't call it that yet. From Wifey. Let's just keep the war out of the household here. JV Free, just talk about data centers, nothing else. We did a lot of that. You had that one early on in the show, but we closed pretty heavy with that. Dust Vault, it was fascinating to hear boomers talk about how disappointed they were with Reagan and the similarities of the disappointment we have in Trump today. Yeah, I don't want to do, I guess it's been almost 24 hours since you brought it up. So, kind of a spoiler alert here. If you haven't watched the Boomers versus Millennial debate yet, featuring me, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Just want to give you fair warning. Yeah, the one thing that Brandon was not anticipating was that the Millennials and Boomers would both agree on what a letdown Trump has been. I think that was an unexpected, and ended up being a major part even of the debate. I don't know how much made that. I don't know how much of that made it into the final cut. They were having. This is Brandon's first time doing all of this, by the way. I give Brandon major credit because Brandon is taking a lot of heat, as you can imagine, for hosting these debate panels, which is really sad. But I give Brandon a lot of credit because he's taking it with a tough chin. But they had a lot of technical difficulties. This was the first time Walkaway had hosted a debate panel like that. And so there were some unintended, unforeseen, technical stuff that I think caused it to be a little more highly edited than he anticipated. So I don't know what made the final edit, but yeah, both sides agreed Trump was a major disappointment, and that was kind of a major part of the conversation that we didn't anticipate. But it was, it's true, it's fair, so that's good. Exposed 305. Oh, and if God says that a Jew is only by the Spirit, and he says that all nations are made of one blood, who's right, Viva or Godward? If you don't answer, I get it. Well, I don't know how you're. What am I supposed to answer? I don't know. I wasn't about to sit here and have the conversation about what is a Jew with Viva, even though he almost went there. He kind of brought that up. But I wasn't interested in going there. So I don't really know what the question is. Who's right, Viva or God's word? Obviously you're going to say God's word, but it's like we can have conversations about this stuff. It's okay. Owen Jones Schroyer, it's all a joke and a game to boomers. Meanwhile, we're struggling to survive. Is that a response to the debate panel? A lot of incoming on the debate panel. Spaced intellect. Any behind the scenes with the debate you had with Harrison and Alex Stein teaming up in a debate with the boomers behind the scenes? No, not really. I will say the one thing that I like, and it was true after that debate, and it was mostly true after the next debate, which I believe they're publishing June 10th, I was told. The MAGA versus former MAGA debate panel, I believe, is going to be published June 10th. And by the way, that was way more intense. That was way, the temperature of that debate was like 5 times, 10 times hotter. So that one's really going to knock your socks off. There was a little issue afterwards with people getting along after that one. There's a little bit of an issue. But for the most part, from both debates, from at least for me personally, I was able to get along with everybody just fine afterwards. And I think that that's very important. So if you're looking, I don't really have any other behind the scenes, but afterwards I was able to shake hands and say, hey, good debate. Nice to meet you. I respect you. So I was pretty much able to do that. Not everybody was after the most recent one, but that's a little behind the scenes. I think it's good. I like it. I want to be able to debate and be passionate and argue and still be able to shake hands afterwards. I think it's important. So I guess that's behind the scenes. Everyone says when Jesus comes, if you cannot see him, go look Jim Brewer's podcast or Russell Brand and you see him. I don't understand the reference. Russell Brand, does he look like him? Santori Zero. Been listening to you for years. I just saw your walkaway debate. I commend you on your ability to keep bringing things back to major points when others couldn't. You dominated it. Keep it up for us. Thank you, brother. Will do. Was interesting to see the boomers almost excuse Epstein. That Frank guy especially seemed nervous about the subject. Also interesting, the old boomer woman was the most reasonable. Well, you have to understand, though, the Epstein thing is like, the boomers lived, 80, 90% of their life. They probably never even heard of Epstein. So I can understand the generational differences on that. Whereas for somebody like me, it's like we've been talking about Epstein for what, 10 years more? So it's way more in our political consciousness. Did y'all hang out with the boomer lady after? No. I went straight home after, actually. You knew that. There were some interest, wifey, that wanted me to stick around, but no, I went straight home. Should be a $25 bill to commemorate his 25% of all debt. That's good. That's good. Alan Alsama, thank you. Iron Lunatic, Uber stock that is currently at 70, but will go up to 115 by next year. So if you have a Roth IRA, I'd put it in there. Imagine putting 7K on that. This is not financial advice. You think so? I prefer Tesla. I prefer Tesla to Uber, but Tesla is what, like 400 now? So yeah, if you're looking for something cheap that you think is going to boom, but that's why I like nuclear right now. A lot of these nuclear stocks are not, they're not in the triple digits. So yeah, I prefer something like Tesla. It's up to 440 though. So, that's a little bit of a heavier lift. Uber at $70. If you think that's going to go gangbusters into the triple digits, that's probably fair. The ones that I like, if you're looking for cheap investment, long-term return, I like nuclear. I like drone. I like semiconductors. Quantum computing and AI is a little bubbly, but those are also ones that are still kind of low. There's also ones you can find like rare earth stuff that's still pretty cheap that I think is going to go up when they really have to start building these things. And then anything the Trump family is investing in, I'd say is a safe bet, because my guess is before Trump leaves office, he'll do anything and everything possible to enrich his own family's stock portfolio. Uber is an interesting one, though. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical on that, but we'll keep that one in mind. CL1 Truth. All I'm saying is America first, but can we just get some Putin-level leadership? Trump's mind's been hijacked. Yeah, Trump's something's been hijacked. I don't know about his mind, but the administration, the policies. Donovan Brown, I didn't mean for my comment to upset you yesterday. My apologies. I'll reach out to Ivory Hecker. Much love from Gen Z. Christ is king. Repent and believe. You didn't upset me yesterday. Did I seem upset? I didn't. I remember your chat. I was just answering the question. You did not upset me. I apologize if there was a miscommunication there, a misinterpretation. Thanks, brother. Doesn't matter anymore. All of them. Trump sold their soul to Satan. Hakras, the devil. I'd like to think they just sold out to the donors, but I guess it's a concern. Woofy. I stopped using Rumble because Bongino is a big partner there. F that guy. Guys, Rumble is very important. I wouldn't do that. Rumble is very important and has been a necessity in the past and could again be a necessity in the future. So I would not speak ill of Rumble. Salty Badger. They have a cure for cancer. What do Tulsi, Bondi, and Bongino have in common? Is this a vaccine deal? I keep seeing those stories. That's just one I don't want to cover and get wrong because you really don't know unless they say it. But there are stories, there are theories that all of them are getting cancer from the vaccines and then they're getting treatments for it. Well, we do know the cancer rates are up, and I would say it's a fair conclusion to reach that they're hiding the cure for cancer. But I don't know if you can say that those people have it. But have you looked at ivermectin? Anyone against El Trumpo's death cult? That's who you're voting for. So I guess you're going to be flipping for Democrats. Mr. President, the reflective pool isn't the swamp. When are they going to have that deal up and running? I'm going to go see it. I'll go film it for you guys. I'll give you an honest review. Surprised Trump didn't fill the pool with snakes, gators, and swamp mud. Hey, that's not a bad idea. I like that. Give me a little zoo. Get a little lizard zoo over there. I like alligators. Bring them to D.C. Cornelius Westernmost. Oh, and I had your show playing in my shop yesterday, and everyone, young, old, left, right, black, white, was saying things like, wow, this guy's on point. Who is this anyway? How about that? Wow. Thank you. That is bold. You know what? That's bold leadership on your behalf. What is your, if you feel comfortable, next time you send us a message, let us know the name of your shop. If you want it out there, if you don't, no worries here. But if you do want the name of your shop out there, next time you send a chat, we'll give your shop a shout out. Thank you. Mayorkas or bust. Mayorkas for prison. Only arrests are always former officials. If Netanyahu really is holding the world hostage with the Samson option, Trump needs to say, yeah, bud, we have a bigger red button and it actually works. I don't think you want to tempt that fate. I wish he would just tell us. I wish he would just say that's what's going on. CNN was attacking Spencer Pratt behind you by connecting him to Alex Jones. Why are they doing that? Did Spencer go on with Alex? Was there a connect? Is there a real connection there? Or is that just them trying to hurt Spencer? And quickly here, I don't even know if it's worth saying, but I'm seeing this in the Pratt conversation, and I get it. I totally get it. I get the people that are zero tolerance for Israel. I get it. I'm not here to push back against it. I'm a little different on the issue. I mean, obviously, I'm vocally against Israel and its actions in the Middle East, its influence over our government. And I mean, I state outright, I think Israel is the most evil government in the world. I think what Israel is doing is just it's the worst. I think Israel is keeping the planet at war, keeping the Middle East at war. It's like, okay, I mean, I've said all that, so I don't think there's any issue as far as, I'm not willing to be honest. I just don't know if it's fair to throw somebody like Spencer Pratt overboard because he's pro-Israel. I just don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's good political strategy. I don't know if that's fair. I get it. Believe me, I get why people feel that way. I get it, and I see why. And if you feel that way, I'm not telling you to feel differently. I just look at that situation, and I'm thinking, if Spencer Pratt is the most pro-Israel mayor in the country, is it still, it's like, do you still not want him in there above Karen Bass? Really? I don't know. That one's a little, I don't have to make that decision because I don't have to vote, but no, I'd be voting Pratt. I wouldn't, the pro-Israel stuff wouldn't stop me from voting Pratt. And who knows? He might have to do that to win. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting one, though. I will say, Spencer, he was at like 17% in the prediction markets. So I got a little stock in Spencer Pratt winning at 17%. It's like up to 25, I think now. So low stakes, guys. Low stakes. Relax. Low stakes. What's the latest with Cove Pure, the best water filter on planet Earth, and the Facebook page? Well, Cove Pure, $250 off, covepure.com/Owen. We're having issues with the Facebook page. I'll just leave it at that. We're not getting cooperation, and now it looks like we're going to have a legal process. And my legal team is not exactly available for immediate action right now. So we're kind of working it. We're still hoping that the individual will stop. But we're not getting cooperation from Facebook. We're not getting cooperation from the individual. And so we may have to go along with the legal process, but my legal team is a little tied up at the moment. As you know, I was missing a lot of time the last couple of weeks for legal stuff. So we'll give you an update when we have it. It's really frustrating. It's just, it's digital identity theft. Candace hosted Anna Kasparian. I think there's a real bridge being built Sean Ryan had Cenk Uygur on recently too, and it was a great conversation. Sean Ryan and Tucker both had a great conversation with Cenk. I haven't seen Anna and Candace yet. You know what would be the ultimate breaking of the internet? It would be Alex Jones and Cenk Uygur in a studio together. That would break the internet. Wifey, our founding fathers never fathomed this extreme threat to our Fourth Amendment and the human race. Or maybe they did, and that's why they wrote it into the Bill of Rights, which this administration doesn't seem to know or care about. Do Democrats take less money from big tech? Yes. Well, historically, no. Historically, they took more money. Now, in this recent election cycle, big tech and the Republicans are connected at the hip, and that's Trump's doing. So, historically, no. Modern election cycle, yes. AI wants to scan our thoughts and harness our souls. There was a post on X, the San Francisco 49ers, and they had that injury issue because of that, plant that was next to their practice facility. That story went viral. Ricky Pearsall, it's a wide receiver for the 49ers. He did a media interview recently. I guess some of these teams are reporting to camp. I don't know. And he had wired headphones, and somebody said, why is he wearing wired headphones? And it went massively viral. And it's like, it's such a great opportunity. And hey, if you want to wear wireless headphones, whatever, that's fine. But it's like, did you know that Apple has a patent to read your brainwaves, and that technology is in their earbuds? So it's like, oh, people see that for the first time. They're like, holy smokes. Or the EMF, the frequencies that the Bluetooth wireless headphones in your ear put out. It's like, they didn't know about that. It's like, well, that's kind of alarming. So I kind of have the happy medium. I don't like the wires because I just don't like wires. And, it's like it holds you back. So I have the happy medium. I have the ones that have a wire, but they're wireless. So they have a wire that goes from the earbud down to like the receiver. So the receiver kind of sits down here on your shoulder and not right next to your brain. So I like to think it's a little bit better. And you keep the wireless convenience, the future of our children. Well, that takes something has to be done here. For I have sworn upon the altar of God, eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man. All right, in no confidence or just not vote, Democrats and Republicans can both go to hell, F them both. A lot of people are going to feel that way. Do a generational poll in the chat, Boomer versus Millennial, Boomer X Millennial Z. Curious to see who your biggest fans are. We've got a wide variety, actually. But if we do look at the analytics, mostly men in their 30s. That's like my biggest audience. We have a very large female audience. For most talk shows, we have a way above average female audience. It's mostly millennial and Gen X. And then there are boomers and Zoomers in there as well. But no, we're wide. We cover all different sectors. Tay-Tay, you should invest in surge protection UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies for your electronics in the case of your multiple Texas power outages. It's funny you say that. I do. I don't know what happened. I literally have a system set up that if the power goes out, my studio keeps running. So I don't know what happened. You're forcing me to do work because I've got it on my to-do list here to figure out why my backup system didn't kick on. I don't know. So I actually need to do that work because I don't have the answer to that. So I actually already have that system. If the power goes out at my house, my studio is supposed to keep running. I don't know why it did not click on in that power outage. So thanks, Tay-Tay. Thanks a lot, putting me to work. Speaking of Laura Loomer, did you happen to catch the interview Stu Peters did with Jacob Engels? He had some wild accusations about you and Laura. I've seen it. I like Jacob. I don't know why look, the details of what he said are inaccurate. They are inaccurate. The details are inaccurate. So I don't know where he got the details. He didn't get them from me. So whoever he got the details from, it's like third or fourth party maybe, and that's why he doesn't have the right facts. There is a story, I will say. There is a story, but it's not as he's presenting it. The details and the actions described in his account are just not accurate. And I don't even know where or who he would have gotten these details from. There is a story there. I don't think it's, I don't really think it's interest, quite frankly. I don't think it's interesting to anybody. It's totally irrelevant to anything. So I don't know. Maybe someday I'll tell the story, but no, the details that he described in that interview are just wrong. They're just not totally accurate. Is there a general direction that might point to some truth? Kind of, but as far as the details that he described, no, the details are not accurate. The events described are not accurate. I don't think it's really relevant. It's like, do you really want to hear about people going out and getting a drink in New York City? It's like, that's really the story. And it was like 10 years ago now. So I don't know. Maybe sometime I can talk about it. But again, it's like, I don't know why people care. There were other individuals. Involved that are not even mentioned. The other names that get brought up were not involved. They were not there. So I don't know where he gets the information. The details are not accurate. The series of events also not accurate. But whatever. I kind of think it's funny, actually. 60 seconds in the cold plunge. That's cute. I'm still a beginner here, bro. I'm still a beginner, all right? Give me a break. Today is the 10th anniversary of Harambe's death. Rest in peace. You couldn't breathe on Jordan without getting a foul called on you, but players didn't flop. Used to be ridiculous star treatment. Now it's just threes and flops. Well, there's no doubt they gave Jordan that. That is true. Tim Donahue wrote a book about that. I actually interviewed Tim in my past career as a sports broadcaster. But it was nowhere near like it is. I mean, you know, Jordan would still initiate and take contact, and he wouldn't flop. So there was still a raw physicality of the game, but there's no doubt that they would prefer, allowing Jordan to do what he did out there as opposed to, letting the Knicks and the Pistons just beat the hell out of him. Palmetto Hawk, artificial intelligence restricts our born with unalienable rights, giving politicians complete control. The best memories involve natural stupidity. Hassani Parker. Are we going to survive all this? I got a 4-year-old. Yes. Yes. And don't think any other way. Yes. Survive and thrive. Blink twice if Brandon Straka is on our side. What do you, he's public. He expresses his opinion on social media. What are you talking? You don't need to be, I'm not here to speak for Brandon. He speaks for himself. But I consider Brandon a great friend. And I think he's one of the few people in politics that is a good person and actually has ethics and integrity. MAGA told me the data centers are needed so people can save all their pictures in the cloud, that the government would never illegally spy on anyone. Oh, yes. And I love they're doing this thing. They're like, we're in an AI race with China. We're in a data center race with China. America has like 5,000 data centers. China has like 5,000. And so per capita, we're ratioing China in the data centers like 100 to 1. So that's just total propaganda and BS. It's only through the darkness that you appreciate the light. It is a struggle to be human. Amen to that. I like that. Owen Report. Word on the street is Owen Schroyer versus Dominic Michael Trippy debate is happening. The topic, Elon Musk. Well, you know, DMT got an invite to pop into the show today with that information on Abraham Lincoln, and he didn't take it. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. We're about to close the door on him, too. With Alex wearing the famous Bill Clinton shirt. Yeah, that was the Cenk Uygur RNC in Cleveland. I was there. It's fun. Billy Cardano, where to send larger donations since YouTube takes 30% with super chats. You know what, Billy? I appreciate that, actually. This is a good way to end the show. I appreciate that because I don't talk about this. I don't want to, I don't want to come off as, shaking the donation pot in front of you. And I don't need it. I know things are tough. We have sponsors here. We need you to support the sponsors, buy the sponsors' products. That's what funds the show. We have a proprietary product, obviously, Crash Out Energy, that supports the show. The super chats, that supports the show. So, we have a pretty fair and standard way of funding things here. And I hope I hope that you guys appreciate that I don't overwhelm this show with ads and with, plugs and everything. I don't know if you can find a 3-hour talk show that does 2 or 3 plugs a show, and that's basically it. But here, I will answer the question since you asked. If you go to, let me pull it up. All right. If you go to owenschroyer.store, okay, and then you go over here to the Support Owen tab, that will take you to my Give, Send, Go. Now, I never talk about this Give, Send, Go because this is my Give, Send, Go that I started the fundraiser to launch the new show and build the new studio. And so once I reached the goal on that, I just quit promoting it because I'm so grateful that we went above and beyond the goal. I think it's Help Owen Schroyer. It's givesendgo.com, Help Owen Schroyer, or you can go to the owenschroyer.store web page and click Support Owen. I don't remember what the link is. I don't remember what the link is for that unique one. But anyway, that maybe DMT knows what the unique URL for that is, but that's all right. You can find it at owenschroyer.store on the Support Owen tab. Those are considered gifts, and Give, Send, Go. Well, Give, Send, Go actually takes 0%. Give, Send, Go takes 0% of those gifts. And then you, as the recipient, you can choose to give them whatever. You can choose to give them 1%, 5%, 10%. You can choose to give them whatever you want. They don't take 30%. They don't actually ask for anything. They offer the platform for free, and then you can basically choose. So actually, that is really, I don't like to talk about it too much because you can probably figure out why. But that is actually the most efficient way to fundraise, is through these fundraisers on Give, Send, Go. It's actually the most efficient because you can keep 100% of it if you want. And then there's other advantages that, again, I'm not gonna say, but I think you can pretty much figure it out. So there you go. There's the answer to that. I'm glad you asked because I don't talk about it. Look, as long as my car starts and my studio works and I've got food in my fridge, I'm not going to be just asking for handouts here. So, all right. Wifey, betting my super chats on DMT. Couch. Stinky Cato, your NBA rant was very boomery. No, slop. Actually, I guess it was a little boomery. It is a little boomery. It's a little slop. It's a little boomer slop. It's, come on. Give a guy a break. We're on 4 hours a day. Just give me a break, man. That's it. That's it. I don't have to take that. I don't have to sit here and take this from you. I don't have to sit here and take that. I'm out of here. I'm done. That's it. Gone. All right. 20-hour break. 20-hour break for the Owen Report. We'll be back same time, same channel tomorrow. God bless and Godspeed.